With the weather watch in effect, Toronto Sky indoor facility. The roof is not retracted. Indoors, it's a pleasant evening. It will not be remembered as pleasant for one of two teams, the Toronto Argos and the Edmonton Eskimos. Tonight, the CFL's early season favorites meet on the road to the Grey Cup on CBC Sports. The Grey Cup is to be played here in the Sky Dome in November. Fortunately for the other CFL teams, it's 4 months away and a lot can happen to the favorites, such as the Argos losing their starting quarterback in the season opener here 2 weeks ago. Gilbert Renfro broke a finger and will miss his second straight game tonight. Last week, John Kajemi moved from the sidelines to play his first full game in 3 years. It should be a more familiar feeling this evening. Kajemi had his moments in victory over Ottawa, but by his own admission, must become more consistent. Edmonton starting quarterback Tracy Ham was consistently successful against Calgary last week. He threw 3 touchdown passes in a game that did wonders for his confidence and the confidence of backup Rick Warman, who threw 3 more. The Eskimos compiled 54 points. Ham and Warman are doing their best to make Edmonton fans forget the days of Dunnigan and Allen. Tonight, it's the first of a 2-game home-and-home series between the Eskimos and Argos on the CFL on CBC. Game 1 at the Sky Dome. When the preseason ballots were tabulated, the experts had made the Eskimos and the Argos almost unanimous choices to win their conferences and meet in the Grey Cup. And early in the schedule, the Eskimos have done little to relinquish their role as favorites. They've distinguished themselves defensively, as they seem to do every season. In 2 games, they've allowed only 19 points and just 1 touchdown. That is winning football, and it's why the Eskimos sport a record of 2 wins against no defeats. And so on trial tonight is the Argo offensive line. Judgment to be passed on Chris Schultz, who at various times will find himself lined up against Eskimo rush end Greg Stuman. Stuman has made an already strong defense in Edmonton even stronger. The question is this defense unstoppable?
Well, you know, when you say unstoppable, that's very high expectations of us. We're not invincible, but we have a lot of talent on defense, and if everyone does their job, in the gap cancellation defense, we can be hard to stop for the opponent, yeah.
Well, they may not be invincible, but Ron, from a quarterbacking standpoint, I would suggest that with Stuman coming from one side and Stuart Hill from the other, they are intimidating.
Boy, they very well are, Don. You know, they play that gap cancellation. It's a Don Matthews attack-style defense. They try to get Stuman and Hill matched up on a running back, and if they do, they try to run over him.
Well, Warren Hudson has been inserted into the lineup in a blocking back position tonight, and it will be his duty to try and contain those 2 rush ends.
Well, he does a great job blocking, 225 pounds. Last year, he led Gil Finnerty on an outstanding season. Tonight, he's got to do that, plus keep John Kajemi on his feet.
Well, John Kajemi is hoping that Hudson does do the job.
Boy, John has played well. See, the guy has not played enough in the last 3 years to be evaluated. He's being a little bit hard on himself. You must play to be consistent, and the only way to play is to be consistent, and that's what he's got to do.
And he will have to be at his best tonight against what many consider to be the #1 ranked defensive unit in the entire CFL. Scott?
Don, the current financial hotspot in the CFL is in Ottawa, where the Rough Riders went to the city for help yesterday. At halftime and inside the CFL, we'll be joined by Rider General Manager Joanne Polak live via satellite from Ottawa. And here at the Sky Dome, we'll be joined live by the newest Argonaut, Mike Pinball Clements. You're watching Foster's CFL on CBC, live from Toronto Sky Dome.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Foster's Lager, bringing the best of the CFL home to you. And by Priority Post Courier, official courier of the Canadian Football League. And by 7-Up. Are you up for it?
Hi again, everyone. Ross Ferrier will be the referee tonight under the dome with Ross Saunders, Turk Turtani, George Black, Ed Dunn, and Dave Sutherland, the other members of the officiating crew. The Edmonton Eskimos will be kicking off to the Toronto Argonauts. And we'll get our first look at the newest addition to the Argo roster, number 31, the man they call Pinball, Mike Clemens. They say he's 5'6", and standing beside him down on the sidelines, I would think he'd have to be on tippy toes to hit 5'6". Clark kicking off for the Eskimos, and Clemens, who specializes in punt returns and kickoff returns, brings it back. He fumbles the football, and the Eskimos have recovered, but he had the fans on their feet on the opening kickoff return, somewhat reminiscent of the man who starred in that same capacity for the Edmonton Eskimos, Henry the Gizmo Williams. John Kangemi was prepared to head onto the playing field on that excellent return by Mike Clemens, but he fumbled the ball at the 48-yard line of the Eskimos, and Brian Walling recovered there. So it's the Eskimo offense that moves onto the field, 1st and 10 from the 48. But that young man, Mike Clemens, is going to create some excitement under the dome.
Well, he showed great balance when he got hit and spun around. The thing about running with a football is when you make those kind of moves, you're going to get caught from behind. That's when you're most susceptible or likely to fumble, and he did. And you just got to hold on.
Tracy Ham, the starting quarterback. Chris Johnstone on the receiving end of the initial throw by Ham for a gain of 8 yards. It will be 2nd and 2. Reg Berry made the tackle.
Well, Tracy Ham, he's hitting about 55% of his passes, but the big thing about him is he can run. He's averaging 5 yards every time he carries, but he's an excellent quarterback at 5'10". He's another one that I think they're stretching 5'10" on him, but he's an outstanding athlete.
He holds 50 school records at Georgia Southern. Short yardage offense is in there for the Eskimos. Johnstone taking the handoff and stopped right in his tracks by linebacker Tony Bisco. Whoa, did Bisco move up there quickly to fill that hole.
Harold Hallman closed down to the inside, and that forced the ball carrier to straight ahead, and number 90, Tony Bisco, 235-pound linebacker, he was there to hit him. Talk about the offensive keys with the Eskimos. Here they are. Stephen Jones has matured as a wide receiver. Craig Ellis, I've never heard anybody yet say he can't play. He's an excellent football player. And Reggie Taylor has got a lot of excitement running the football. Even though he's only 5'10", he's very excited.
Eskimos gambling on 3rd down. Will they get it? Yes, Chris Johnstone appears to be inside the 52. That's where he had to go to get 1st down yardage. Harold Hallman made the tackle. Don Matthews, the former head coach of the BC Lions and assistant coach with the Edmonton Eskimos. And many people credit Matthews' presence with that very aggressive attack-style defense.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to talk about that defense all night, but it is Don Matthews that gets them going. On the other side of the ball, Bruce Holmes, who's a guy that they say has to play well, has done a good job first 2 games. Kulka and Bayless, they've got to get the pressure on this man, Tracy Ham.
Ham, with a couple of quick moves as he couldn't find a receiver open, picks up about 4 yards before being stopped by Don Moan.
Try to get him outside. They sprint him wide. When you do that, it cuts down the field. You don't have as much to throw, but they pull Randy Ambrosi, the guard. He's his personal protector, and then he cuts back. This is what he does so well. He's quick. Picks up those yardies. The big thing, he doesn't get sacked too often.
Don Moan, a key defensively for the Argos, one of the outstanding linebackers in the CFL. A native of Swift Current, Saskatchewan. 2nd and 6. Ham's pass knocked down. Dropping back was Harold Hallman. Hallman dropped out of his defensive tackle position to knock that pass down.
Well, you don't see that very often. When that quarterback looks there and sees no linebacker between him and the slot back, he feels he can throw that all day, and all of a sudden, number 70, a defensive lineman, drops right back and bats it down. Now, that's a surprise to a quarterback.
Tom Richards was the intended receiver. This is going to be a field goal attempt of 54 yards by Jerry Corrick. He'll kick out of the hold of Rick Warman. Just one man back, and that is Clemens. The kick is short and wide. Toronto fans have a new hero in diminutive Mike Clemens, the man they've nicknamed Pinball. John Congemi, for the first Argo offensive series, enjoys good field position at the 45.
You notice those statistics of Congemi. You see no touchdown passes. The Toronto Argonauts haven't thrown a touchdown pass yet this year, and that's very unusual in the Canadian Football League.
There are many Toronto Argonaut fans who have felt that John Congemi should be the #1 quarterback. Congemi certainly did not want to become #1 under the circumstances, an injury to Gilbert Renfro, but he is going to try and make the most of the situation.
These are the guys I think that have to help him. Gil Finnerty, he's got to be a big part of the offense. Everybody knows about him. Well, they have to get Emmanuel Talbot more into the offense. Darrell Smith's been carrying the load, and we talked about Warren Hudson in the opening. He's got to have a big game.
There's the pitch to Finnerty, and he is stopped very quickly as Jerome Erdman was blitzing from his safety position. Jerome Erdman started the year with the Ottawa Rough Riders, was cut loose, and Bob Swift, an assistant coach with Edmonton, knew what he could do from his days with Ottawa and recommended that they add him to the roster.
Yeah, they needed somebody at that safety position back there, but we talked about Stuman and Hill, excellent pass rushers. Enos Jackson's a rookie, but the leading tackler on the team, and I look for him to get a workout from Talbot tonight, so they're going to go after him. He's going to have to play well.
2nd and 12. Sideline pattern for Boyd. He makes the catch. Was he inbounds or out? He was out.
That was a nice throw by John Congemi, but the thing was, Andre Francis, number 14, wasn't very far away. Now, if that ball's inside, he's going to get it.
Well, I think Gil Finnerty would like to carry the ball 15 to 20 times per game, perhaps even more. In the opening game of the season, he ran for 124 yards, the bulk of it in the first half of the ball game. He did not see the ball very much at all in the second half.
Yeah, that was the strange part of that football game. He had a great first half, and then for some reason or other, they went away from him and relied strictly on the pass, and Hamilton just wound up coming after him.
Tony Hunter and Cornelius Reddick are back for the Hank Alisic punt. It is taken by Reddick, and he is down to the 32. Good punt coverage by the Toronto Argonauts with 10:32 remaining in this first quarter, a game that is still scoreless. It was Peter Buchanan who was downfield on that punt coverage team.
Well, we talk about the Eskimo offense. They are really pleased with the play of Reggie Taylor, the running back, number 26. He's not a very big guy. He's only like 5'6", 5'7", 175 pounds, but he's got the great quickness is what you want to see. So he gives them that threat to go the distance from anywhere on the field. And then with the addition of Craig Ellis, they got a pretty formidable offense right now.
Craig Ellis is really an interesting story. He was in Edmonton last year. He lives there year-round playing flag football. Deep throw intended, I guess, for Tom Richards. Ham missed the target by at least 10 or 15 yards, and it will just go as an incomplete pass.
Threw that ball away, Don, and it's a good thing because Todd Wiseman, even though Tracy Ham rolled to his left, Wiseman just dropped right back in the middle to help out, and he was in great position to pick that off if it's thrown right.
Well, the Argos have their backs up a little at all the talk about the very tough Edmonton defense. They feel that they have a pretty solid defensive unit themselves, and I think Tracy Ham might agree as Harold Hallman gets to him.
That's what they have to do. That's what they got Hallman and Bayless inside for. If they do the job, you see Kulka come underneath Hallman, put the pressure up the middle. Hallman gets loose outside, and Kulka's there to finish him off. That's a good game to play when you have the quickness that Hallman has.
You know, Kulka doesn't get credited for that sack, but it was actually his move on the inside that forced Ham deeper than perhaps he wanted to go.
That's right. The quarterback wants to get set. He had to give some ground, and that allowed Hallman to come around the side and get him.
Get on it. Get it, get it, get it!
Picked up very quickly by Clemens, and that draws a penalty flag, almost certainly a no-yards call. Clemens, perhaps somewhat unfamiliar with CFL rules, and you could hear them yelling from the bench, pick it up, pick it up. They've got them trapped in the no-yard zone.
Get those different colored jerseys, the white jersey of the Eskimos inside, and as you say, Don, they're hollering at him. He's thinking, I don't want to fumble this. He doesn't realize that he can't lose the ball that way.
Edmonton number 22, first down.
It was Blake Marshall who was inside that 5-yard area. That moves the football to the 45 of the Edmonton Eskimos. 1st and 10, Toronto.
The Argonauts, this is a great place for Congemi to start. Now, when you get the ball on your side, the other team's side of midfield, you've got to get points. This is where Congemi's got to go to work.
Here's the draw play with Fennerty, and Fennerty is stopped almost immediately by John Mandarich.
The thing that's tough about the Eskimo defense is everybody's responsible for a gap. Now, there will be an opening someplace, but the problem is you don't know which one the Eskimos do. So if you don't hit it, you're in trouble.
Scott?
Well, Don, the Eskimo defensive tackle is the picture of intensity during games, but let's check out John Mandarich in practice yesterday. He's a big fan of Jason in the Friday the 13th horror movie series. Part 8, by the way, premieres tomorrow. Mandarich says he's decided to call his defense Friday the 13th Part 12 because there's 12 players. On the ad for Part 8 today, I heard somebody say, there's a maniac loose out there and he's trying to kill me. I wonder if the Argo offense feels the same way about John Mandarich.
There were 5 maniacs on the loose on that most recent play, and they dropped Kangemi for a big loss back to the 51.
Well, this is what they want to do. They talking to Danny Bass, who's one of them that comes in there, number 30, the middle linebacker on a blitz. Larry Ruck got there, but look at the white jerseys in there. Danny says if they can hear the Argonauts calling out, I have him, I have him, I have him, he says somebody will make a mistake. He said, and we bring so many people that it will be by him in a hurry, and that's exactly what happened.
Warren Hudson, the blocking back, is down. They cannot afford to lose Warren Hudson, or that will put even more pressure on quarterback John Kangemi. There's going to be enough on Kangemi as it is.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of pressure, but Warren Hudson's big job tonight, protect the quarterback, because when the Eskimos come from everywhere, he's got to be in the position to pick up the most dangerous man. Normally going to be the outside man, and that'll be either Stuman or Hill, but if he's out of there, it puts more pressure on him.
8:19 remaining in a still scoreless opening quarter. Hank Olisic standing back to punt with only Tony Hunter back for the Eskimos. Good kick by Olisic, and it will bounce out of the end zone for a single point. A 62-yard single by Hank Olisic. You're watching Foster's CFL. One nothing. The Argos lead the Eskimos on a 62-yard single by Hank Olisic. Reggie Taylor on the first play from the 35-yard line is stopped by Glenn Kulka after a gain of about 5 yards.
You start to see these draw plays in this particular thing. A drop back like a pass and a handoff to the back, trying to slow down the rush. You remember the play before they punted the football? Tracy Ham was sacked. So you get a pressure, come back with a draw, try to slow that thing down.
2nd and 5, 7:29 the time remaining in the first quarter. Ham quickly over the middle. It's incomplete. He was looking for Tom Richards, and Richards had Reg Berry, the inside halfback, all over him.
The Toronto defense lined up in a blitz formation. All the defensive backs up close. Ham saw it, tried to dump it right over the line of scrimmage. Now Holmes is just kind of scouting around. What's he going to do? He sees the ball pop up in the air. He was trying to get to the football, but he couldn't get it because Berry knocked the receiver right into him.
So it's 2 plays and out for the Edmonton Eskimos as Korek stands back in his own 25-yard line for this 3rd down kick. He fumbles the football on the move, trying to get it away. He does, and the ball is grabbed by Reggie Pleasant, and the Argos will take over at the 43-yard line. Well, Jerry Korek had problems with that snap, and Korek was fortunate to be able to kick that ball while on the run.
He sure was. It looked like he was just going to run with it once, but then when he saw Salazar coming from one side, he decided to kick it. He took a heck of a hit to the back. I really don't see why he doesn't catch this. The ball just hit him in the hands. He just dropped the ball. He sees him, and then Duran Major coming from the back hits him. Now, that's not roughing the punter. You're only protected if you're in the punting pocket. So when he runs out, he gives up his protection.
Kangemi flipping it out to Tolbert, out of bounds at the midfield stripe, forced out by Enos Jackson.
Enos Jackson in that defense. He's got the flat. He drops back, forces Kangemi to go to Tolbert, and then Jackson has to chase him to catch him. But Tolbert, they've got to get him a little more involved because he's a big play man, and that would give him Smith on one side, Tolbert on the other. It's hard to double either one of them.
A gain of 7 at 2nd and 3. 6:34 remaining in this opening quarter. Gil Fennerty will have a first down as he battles his way close to the Edmonton 50-yard stripe.
Well, we saw that quote a while ago. Bob Obilovich is where he wanted him to carry the ball 15 to 20 times and catch 5 or 6 passes. that should be a normal night's work for him. If he's going well, then he'll get the ball 25 times maybe and catch 10 passes. But they've got to get that running game established, because Penalty's the kind of guy, as we saw in the first game, can break it from 60 yards out as he did against Hamilton.
Penalty coming into the season had set a personal goal of 1,500 rushing yards. He's certainly on target through his first 2 games to surpass the 1,500 mark. Smith was the intended receiver. It was well over his head. It will be 2nd and 10.
Edmonton just lined up that time, and they put the 3 receivers to this side. They brought Enos Jackson from the opposite side over here, and they just took him on man-to-man, and they were all covered. That's why Kangemi had to throw it.
Edmonton will give you so many different looks defensively, and I think that really confused Calgary a week ago in that 54-4 loss.
Yeah, it takes a while to get used to this defense. You can block it, but you must see it, and you must understand it. And if you haven't seen it, you're in trouble.
This is Smith just off his fingertips. Kangemi read that. He realized he was getting pressure. A safety blitz was coming with Jerome Erdman. He picked it up and just overthrew Darryl Smith.
Well, he saw it all the way because he shortened his drop. He just took 3 quick steps back and let it go, try to drop it into Darryl Smith. Just a shade too far, but that's what he's got to do. Anytime you blitz like that, you're gambling that you're going to get that quarterback before he can get rid of the ball. And if you connect on a couple of those, you'll chase him out of that defense in a hurry.
Hank Alisic standing at his own 45 for this 3rd down kick. Tony Hunter is the lone man back. Another booming spiral by Alisic. Hunter will concede the single point. A 55-yard punt for a single. It's 2-0 Toronto.
Quarterback until he broke his finger in the season opener here at the Sky Dome a couple of weeks ago. The fans were on you in that game, Gil, but I don't think you wanted to escape them by standing on the sidelines and street posts.
Definitely not. It's something that, you know, is disappointing, especially like a team against Edmonton. I want to be out there. I want to be able to play against these guys because they consider one of the best defense in the league. But I think, you know, I have an adequate substitute in John Kangemi.
Let's have a look at the cast and tell us why you can't play with it.
Well, it's a fracture to my middle finger, and right now I can't grip the football to take snaps from the center, so it's kind of impossible for me to play right now. I have to wait a couple more weeks to get a little more strength and let the bones start to heal a little bit.
Get healthy. Thanks, Gil.
Thanks a lot.
So obviously Gilbert Renfro will not be in the lineup when they return to Edmonton next week at Commonwealth Stadium for the 2nd half of this home-and-home series. An objectionable conduct call following that 55-yard single by Alisic has improved Edmonton's field position up to the 45-yard line. Swing pass, and the ball is fumbled and recovered. Blake Marshall drops the ball, and Redsbury comes up with the football.
This is the Eskimo. They love this play. It's that quick screen. They let them outside rushers come, drop it over their head, get that guard and tackle out in front of them. Only this time they drop the football, and the Argonauts again have good field position.
Redsbury put the hit on Blake Marshall, and the ball came right back to him.
You see him cut back inside. There's Barry, hits him. And Kulka finishes him off, and the ball pops loose, and Barry laying on the ground grabs it and gives the Argos great field position.
1st and 10 from the 51 of Edmonton. Over the middle, and it's incomplete. It was deflected. Ryan Warren, the linebacker on that left side, managed to get over there and make the deflection.
They try to throw the screen to the left, and they have a man hooking over the middle, and if he's open, you throw him the ball. They try to throw it in there real quick. Brian Warren, the linebacker, dropping right back in there. He knocks it away. You always have a guy hooking downfield on a quick screen, and if the screen's covered, you go to him in a hurry.
2nd and 10. The ball at the Edmonton 51. 2-0 Toronto leading. This is complete for a 1st down to Jeff Boyd. A gain of about 12 yards. The Toronto Argonauts have 3 of the most talented pass receivers in the entire league, in Jeff Boyd, Darryl Smith, and Emmanuel Tolbert. All 3 potential 1,000-yard receivers.
Well, they've got to be 1,000-yard receivers this year if the Argonauts are going to be successful. And they want to be. You know, once you've reached that 1,000 miles, you don't want to lose it.
That pass was deflected at the line of scrimmage.
Getting a lot of pressure on Kangemi. When he tries to throw that ball inside, you get people in the backfield up in your face. You cannot throw the ball in there, and this one gets batted down.
Might have been Brett Williams who got a hand up to deflect that ball away before Kangemi could get it to the intended receiver. Unlike the first game 2 weeks ago, where the roof was open and it was a beautiful night, it rained today in Toronto, and as a result, the decision was made to keep the dome closed. Darrell Smith, the intended receiver, he's protesting that he was interfered with by Enos Jackson, but there is no penalty flag.
Well, he made the move, got inside of him. Quarterback Conjemi threw the ball where it has to be thrown. Now the question is, it's just a judgment call whether he was interfered with or not.
The best way to describe weather conditions about 4 o'clock this afternoon in Toronto, ugly.
Boy, they were ugly today. I'll tell you, driving over here, those clouds were a little scary.
Lance Chomick will attempt a 45-yard field goal with 3:14 remaining in this opening quarter. It's wide. And Chomick has really been struggling as Hunter brings it out of the end zone and is stopped at the 7-yard line. I'm not quite sure about that decision by Hunter to run that ball out, as the Edmonton Eskimos are going to scrimmage 1st and 10 from their own 10-yard line.
Well, that ball would have come back to the line of scrimmage on a missed field goal and given him the single point. I'm sure Coach Barrigelli will have something to say with him when he comes off.
Chomick last week, even though the Ottawa Rough Riders were victims of the Argonauts, did not have much success kicking field goals. He hit the uprights twice, and that's unusual. To do it twice in one game. Tracy Ham to the sideline. Stephan Jones, the intended receiver. It's incomplete.
Came with a 4-man rush and forced Ham to throw the ball before he was ready. I know you throw the out early on the break, but Jones had the ball was gone before he ever decided to turn outside because of the 4 men that they had coming. And if they can get Gerald Bayless back into the way he played last year with him and Holman inside and Kulka and Harding outside, 4 good pass rushers.
Stephan was hoping that he would be able to see some of his friends at his high school reunion at Beecher High School in Flint, Michigan this weekend. It's a 10-year reunion. Craig Ellis on the receiving end of the Tracy Ham throw. He goes out of bounds at the 22, but that will be an Edmonton first down. Duran Major over covering and taking Craig Ellis out of bounds.
Man-to-man coverage of Duran Major chasing him. Ellis has got good moves and good hands and comes in with 11 receptions. And as he said to us on the field earlier, happy to be playing football in the town where he lives.
He likes playing that slot back position. In previous stints in the CFL with Saskatchewan, with Calgary, he was a running back, but still the leading pass receiver. That one is knocked away from Richards by Reg Berry. Reg Berry, not to be confused with Ed Berry. Ed normally plays the corner position on the left side. He was injured in the game against Ottawa. Reg Berry, who was with the team during training camp, has moved into the halfback position, and Carl Brazeley has moved to the corner.
Ball just didn't have enough zip on it to get there. Berry showed good movement. He was sitting outside, but when that ball was in the air, he came right back in and knocked it down.
2nd and 10. Ham had to move away from his initial receiver, and he'll be stopped short of the first down as he's dropped at the 30-yard line by Reg Berry with help from Glenn Kulka.
Berry's in that halfback position because he can force the run and hit. That's what they want him for.
Well, he was talking about his defense and how they work as a unit, and they should not try and play as individuals. Another comment he had when asked yesterday about this defense perhaps being the best he has ever had, he said, I don't know about that. He said, during our Grey Cup years, he said, you could sleep at night with Kepley at middle linebacker.
That was an awesome defense. That was a great one. I mean, they didn't win 5 Grey Cups for nothing.
Penalty flag as Korek is contacted as he got that kick away. It was Salazar who sent the Edmonton punter flying, and it will be a contacting the kicker call almost certainly against the Toronto Argonauts as Korek is still down. He took some punishment earlier, but on that occasion it was legal because he was out of that kicking pocket as he had difficulty handling the snap from center. This time he was not.
Contacting the kicker. Toronto, first down.
So the Eskimos will retain possession, and they will have a first down.
Well, they went after it, but coming from that side. When the kicker's foot is still in the air, you can't touch him. Once that foot hits the ground, okay, but the foot was in the air when Salazar hit him, therefore the flag comes down. Number 18 didn't get out in front of it. You don't block the punt going after the foot. You go about 2-3 yards in front, then you have a chance.
Corrick heading off to the bench. And he apparently is all right, but when that kicker has the foot in the air and the other planted, he is very vulnerable.
Oh, yeah, you hit him the wrong way and you can break a leg or anything else, so he is protected until that foot hits the ground. As you can see there, it wasn't down.
1:17 remaining in this opening quarter. 2-0, the Toronto Argonauts leading. Reggie Taylor is up to the 45-yard line. A pickup of 5 yards. Gerald Bayless made the tackle. Argo assistant coach Joe Moss.
You don't want to run.
And his responsibility is a defensive one. Works primarily with the linebackers.
Yeah. Coach Sanders, Sam Sanders has the front, and Dennis Meyer has the back.
Craig Ellis stretched out to haul in that throw, and that will be an Edmonton first down. He spent last year playing flag football in Edmonton and coaching a bantam football team in St. Albert. He took them to the provincial final.
Well, he's done things like that. He's a pretty good guy. He gets a rap for being a troublemaker and things. And hopefully now that he's home, he said he likes playing there. He said the long-distance phone calls when he was with the other teams calling back to talk to his family were tough, but he loves playing in Edmonton.
The leading receiver for the Eskimos coming into the game. This one is caught by Stephan Jones. And he has another first down. Reggie Pleasant takes him out of bounds, but not before he gets to the 35.
What they've done last two plays, they've gone man-to-man. On the first play, they streak the outside receivers. They hit Craig Ellis on the out. This time, the inside receiver goes deep, and they hit Stephan Jones. He just breaks to the outside, makes the catch of the football, and Reggie Pleasant has to come get him.
Trivia time. Who else played quarterback for the Edmonton Eskimos last year? Remember Stephan Jones stepping into the breach Labor Day in Calgary?
Time, didn't he?
Intercepted. It was intended for Ellis. Redberry has it. Craig Ellis, the intended receiver, slipped. Redberry was there to make the interception.
That was a good play by Berry, but Ellis slipped and fell. His feet went out from under him, and the ball hit him right in the stomach. We're going to take a look at Craig Ellis coming down the field. He turns to the inside.
And that is the end of the first quarter with Toronto in front by 2. Second quarter with that Redberry interception. The Argos are 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line. Gil Fenerty has that hole closed down very quickly by linebacker Larry Ruck. Redberry has certainly made his presence felt in his first start. In the opening quarter, a fumble recovery and an interception.
Right here, you watch Craig Ellis come off. He's got him turned. See, he's got his back. Ham sees it and throws, but what happens to Ellis? The feet go out from under him, then the ball tips around and right into Berry's hand. But that's being alert, catching the tip ball like you're supposed to.
Gain of 3 at 2nd and 7. Toronto, they are at the 28-yard line. 2-0, the Argos lead on singles by Hank Alyssa. Off the fingertips of Darrell Smith. He was open again. But Kangemi just put a little too much in that throw.
Boy, he was open coming right into the seam on the hash mark, and he was going to be wide open. If he catches that football, it would have been a race to the goal line.
Not a lot of offense in the first quarter, as a 2-0 score would suggest.
Whenever you play the Eskimos, like the Argonauts, all week long, and all you read down here and here is that the vaunted defense of the Eskimos, and they were determined that their defense would play as well, and so far they have.
The Edmonton Eskimos haven't had a great deal of success in Toronto. They haven't won here since 1981. Tony Hunter on this kick return. He ran into one of his own men.
Leroy Blue coming back to help him block on the kick return. He run right into him. He's going to help him up anyway. Grab him by the jersey and pick him up. Blue was that #1 draft choice they acquired in that Dunnigan deal last year, and he comes out of Bishop's. 230-pounder, backs up those linebackers. He'll be a starter in a year or so.
I don't think Blue is going to draw a game check tonight. He bought 25 tickets for family and friends who came to the game.
No, he's going to have a little trouble.
First and 10. The Eskimos just shy of the midfield stripe. The pitch to Reggie Taylor. He gets around the corner and has a gain of maybe 7 yards. First contact was made by middle linebacker Bruce Holmes. Reggie Taylor part of that transaction involving BC and Edmonton that saw Matt Dunnigan go to the BC Lions. The completion of the trade made in January of this year. The announcements of the other players to go to Edmonton made at the annual CFL Coach of the Year dinner. 2nd and 3, Edmonton. Blake Marshall, good hole, first down, Edmonton.
You know, he was looking to get that football again after that first time he carried the ball and Barry caused the fumble. Blake Marshall out of Western Ontario, big and strong, and he hit the hole that time. And if he can get his shoulders turned like he did there, heading to the goal line, he's a tough man to bring down.
The Eskimos over the years have had a lot of talented Canadian running backs, including Greg Marshall, who was Blake's older brother. He played 82, 83, 84. Almost intercepted again by Reg Berry on the deflection. The pass intended for Tom Richards. Tony Visco is the man who deflected it.
Visco got that hand up, and if he hadn't hit the football, Berry may have had the interception. When that ball goes up in the air, it causes it throws off everybody's timing. Watch Tony Visco, 6'4". He gets up high. Now the ball, the whole timing is off the pattern now. On the straight throw, Berry may have had it.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 38.5. Ham threw that one away. Miscommunication between Ham and his wide receiver. Stephan Jones was going to the sidelines, and Ham fired that one deep down into the end zone.
Well, Toronto dropped to that too deep zone there where they just take 2 people and sit them real deep in the secondary, try to take away those 1st and 10 passes. And there really was nobody within 30 yards of that throw. He was talking to, as you say, Stephan Jones coming off the field, but Jones never made any effort at all to go deep. He ran an out pattern and was sitting on the sidelines.
Field goal attempt by Cork. It's wide, picked up in the end zone by Clemens. Gets a block from Brazeley. He was stumbling. Had he been able to maintain his balance, he had a wide open right side of that field all the way to the end zone. 11:29 remains in the half. The Argos tonight are hoping to create a 3-way tie for first place in the Eastern Division with Hamilton and Winnipeg. The Ticats have played one last game, but tomorrow night they'll play their 3rd of the season when they meet the undefeated team in the Western Division, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Edmonton also victorious in the first 2 starts, defeating the BC Lions and the Calgary Stampeders. And what a surprise, the BC Lions 0-3 after that 28-26 loss last night to the Calgary Stampeders.
That is a surprise because they got an awful good football team. You know, they got to the Grey Cup last year and had things going their way, and they just can't get out of the blocks this year.
1st and 10 from the 32-yard line after that return by Clemens. The pass is complete to Morris, and Morris came back to the receiver, and Stanley Blair was right on him. They'll rule that he is stopped at the 39-yard line.
He came back just a little too far. He ran the hook pattern, and then he come back to the quarterback. When he catches the football, he continued back. We see Greg Stuman, the guy we talked about. Perfect. I got Kelvin Prunster on him. You get a guy 265 pounds, you're going to slow Stuman down. So the Argonauts had the right blocking call that time.
Jeff Boyd for a first down.
When you play that defense that the Eskimos play where you get right up in their face, you cannot allow the receiver to get inside. Jeff Boyd gets inside, and it's a straight run to the goal line. So Jimmy just goes 1, 2, 3, and lets it go to the inside. Watch him. He's got Francis on his back. There he is. He's got the inside position. Francis doesn't make it. He jogs for a touchdown.
1st and 10, Toronto. They are at the 52 of the Edmonton Eskimos. 10:21 remaining in the half. Kajemi sideline pattern to Fennerty. He's stopped immediately by Larry Ruck. Gil the Thrill sideline after 11 games in the 1988 season when he was headed for possible Shenley honors as outstanding player, and he worked hard in rehabilitating himself to be ready for training camp this year after surgery to repair that broken ankle. And off his first game and his second, he's in fine shape. Jeff Boyd makes the reception for a first down at the 39.
Once again, Francis is right up on his shoulders. He gave him a quick step outside and just darted right inside. And again, Kangemi found him. He's going to have to line up inside. Don't allow him in there because he'll get beat on that all night.
Kangemi with 2 key second down conversions, both times passing to Jeff Boyd.
That's how you keep drives alive, Don. First down, that's all you need.
Finnerty breaking off tackle. His best gain of the night, about 6 yards.
Well earned 6 yards. Just the way he ran the football. It wasn't one of those plays where bang, he dives in there and goes. He had to find the running room, and they finally found a hole for him. Warren Hudson leading him, gets cut inside, and he gets those 6 yards. 6 yards is great.
He's handled the ball 6 times tonight. They want him to handle the ball about 25 times. Emmanuel Tolbert converts another second down into a first down Toronto.
3 straight times, Don, he's converted second down. That makes that drive alive and gives them 3 more downs to try to put it in the end zone. Again, they send Boyd on the slant, down 3 yards and break to the post. They go out into flat to Tolbert. He makes the catch, gets up the field. All he wants is the first down. He got it.
First and 10. Handoff to Finnerty. This time he won't go anywhere. He had 3 Eskimos waiting for him, Brett Williams and Larry Ruck.
He tried to cut that back, and Greg Stuman was there. Now, by the time he made his mind up to go, too late. Williams had shoved the man blocking him right into the backfield, and he's there to stop any penetration, and that's going to cost him some yardage. So 2nd and 11, and this is the big down again for Kangemi.
Well, Gil Finnerty in tonight's game, if he averages what he has through the first 2, should surpass Leon McQuay as number 4 in the Argos all-time list. Great catch by Jeff Boyd. Yards by Jeff Boyd, the 4th straight second down conversion for the Toronto Argonauts.
We said he's been getting inside of him. Francis got him stopped inside. Now it's just a race. Boyd just adjusts to the football better. When that receiver's eyes go back for the football, the defender has to turn and find it. Then it was too late. Boyd jumped back and made the catch.
Mike Bourgeau comes into the ball game along with Leroy Blue for this goal line stand. First and goal, Toronto from the 2. And the Edmonton Eskimos stuffed them the first time. Jeff Boyd with 3 very vital receptions in this drive.
Keep those drives alive, and that catch there puts it down in scoring position. And this is when you've got to get in the end zone. And that first play wasn't one of their better ones. That Eskimo defense, there was nowhere to run, and Finnerty hesitated. Whenever you hesitate running into the goal line when they're that tight, you're not going to gain any yardage at all.
The Eskimos brought up 2 of their defensive backs. Flags fly as Finnerty struggles to reach the end zone. He made it according to the officials, but there are penalty flags on the play. Ross Perrier talking with the officials, and we'll get the signal.
Offside, Edmonton declined touchdown.
So to the delight of Bob Obilovich, the Toronto Argonauts put it in the end zone, but I think pleasing OB even more is the fact that it was a good drive by the Argos.
Yeah, that's the thing, like John Kangemi talking about being inconsistent and things like that. When you can go on the field, put together 3-4 first downs in a row, and then eventually get it in the end zone, that'll build your confidence faster than anything. So you're right, Don, the long drive, it's a great one to see for Coach Obilovich.
Chomik with the point after. And with 7:06 remaining, it's an 8-0 ball game. You're watching Foster's CFL on CBC.
Argos now lead the ball game.
Well, you see Warren Hudson, that's the guy we talked about in the opening. He's the lead blocker. He makes the block. Now, Finnerty's just got to find a way to squeeze himself in the end zone. Danny Bass is doing what he's supposed to do. Go from that middle linebacker position to where the ball carrier tries to come. Now it's just up to Finnerty to find some way to get into the end zone. Gets up in the air, Bass hits him, but he wiggles and squirms and breaks the plane to the goal line. That's all you have to do, and that's a big, big march for the Argonauts.
with the Fennerty touchdown and the convert by Chomik. It is, of course, a 9-0 game. 7:06 remaining in the first half. Reddick and Hunter are back to receive. Reddick will bring it back from the 10-yard line. And Reddick is brought down by Ryan Hampson on the far side of the field. He got that ball back to the 36-yard line. Ham has not done anything special so far this evening, completing just 5 of 13 attempts. Yesterday, at the press conference, Coach Farragelli was asked whether Ham or Rick Warman was his #1 quarterback. He said, we don't think in terms of a first-string quarterback, a second-string quarterback. We like to feel that both are capable of moving in. If one is having problems, I won't hesitate to insert the other. And if the problems for Tracy Ham continue, we might see Rick Warman a little sooner than we expected.
Well, he got a little bit of pressure that time. Gerald Bayless, 99, comes in to make the hit. Rick Warman just taking it easy. The Eskimos have a tendency, not a tendency, it's their characteristic. They roll people in and out of the ball games, like they got Michel Bourgeau backing up the defensive line. Said, no, he's not a backup. He will play. They just rest their people, and they do it with their running backs and everybody. So it doesn't surprise me they do it as quarterback.
Reddick out wide to the right. Ham's looking that way. Reddick was the target, but it was knocked away by Brazeley.
Well, they've tried to throw that hook about 3 or 4 times now. Pretty soon they've got to go deep, because you see right now Carl Brazeley give no ground at all. He did not move, and he broke on the football. They've got a hook and go in one time, make him stay deep.
Warman in that 54-4 route of the Calgary Stampeders got into the ball game after Tracy Ham suffered a slight injury, a hip injury. He came off to the sidelines, and Coach Farragelli said he was surprised that Ham was not wearing hip pads. Ham said he never wore them all during his college career at Georgia Southern, and Coach Farragelli said he's going to wear them now in professional football. What will this man do? The pinball. He has the ability to light things up, but not this time with 6 minutes remaining in the half.
Thursday, August 3rd, head coach Joe Farragelli takes his Edmonton Eskimos back home to Commonwealth Stadium to face another of the league's senior coaches, Bob Obilovich and his Toronto Argos, in the completion of our CFL on CBC doubleheader. The Eskimos and Argos, Thursday, August 3rd at 9:30 Eastern.
Nothing. The Argos lead the Eskimos with 6 minutes remaining in the first half here at the Sky Dome. And a week from tonight, we'll be at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton as these two teams go at it again. Gerald Bayless in the very hot, humid conditions, needing a little oxygen on the sidelines. Long throw intended for Jeff Boyd, and he was trying to follow the flight of that ball and stay in bounds at the same time with Andre Francis draped all over him. Not a tough assignment.
No, it also looks like they have decided that Francis is the guy you're going to go after. When you come into a football game and a team plays a lot of man-to-man coverage, you have to make a decision who you want to attack. Boyd has had 3 good catches, a little bit of success against Francis. They've decided he's the man for the night.
Well, the Eskimos play that very aggressive gambling style of defense, so there will be openings. It's up to you to find them.
That's right. You have to find them in a hurry.
They were looking for one with Fennerty, and he was in behind the defender, but Kajemi couldn't get the ball to him. So it will be 3rd and 10 Toronto. Scott?
Don, it was made clear at the start of the season there would be no shortage of financial crises in the CFL this year, and the current hotspot is in Ottawa. The Riders went to the city for some help yesterday at halftime, and inside the CFL we'll be joined live via satellite from Ottawa by Riders General Manager Joanne Pollock, and we'll be joined at the Sky Dome by kick returner Pinball Clemens. The man they hope can replace the Gizmo is the most exciting in the league. He's ignited the crowd a few times here in the first half.
Kalisic trying to angle it towards the sidelines. Hunter takes it on the run. And actually wound up losing yards as he attempted to go wide to his left and to stop at the 38 by Ryan Hansen.
Boy, he went a long way to make that catch. But the big thing he did, it didn't hit the ground and bounce all the way down the field. So he does what the coaches want. Catch the ball in the air. Even though he doesn't get much of a run back, he doesn't take the chance on losing more yardage.
We talked about Tracy Ham and the difficulties he has had tonight. 5 of 15 for 53 yards. Tracy Ham at Georgia Southern became the only player in the history of collegiate football in the U.S. to rush for 3,000 yards and pass for 5,000.
Not bad statistics.
He hasn't been running tonight except for his life as he dumps that one off to Craig Ellis. And Ellis will convert it. Well, perhaps he hasn't got a first down, but he's going to be close. Stopped by Bruce Holmes.
A little slot back screen. Normally you throw them to the backs. This time the Eskimos, a little bit of play action, and then Ellis, who's been staying in occasionally to block, he just drifts out there, gets a couple big guys in front of him, and away he goes.
The start of the game, it was sunny outside in Toronto, but they have to make a decision about opening the roof or leaving it closed about noon of the day of an event. And at noon today, there was no way this roof was going to be open.
No, they made the decision. And I'll tell you, I think it was a good decision today because the weather's been really weird down here for a while. Very fortunate here. Tracy Ham's arguing that this was a forward pass. I'm not so sure it was. The referee didn't agree with him anyway, and it's a good thing they got on the football.
Reggie Taylor remained in pursuit of that football. And fortunately for the Eskimos, he did, because had the Argos picked it up, it was a live ball.
That's the decision the referee makes. There's John Mandridge. He said he likes to play this defense of the Eskimos now because you line up and you take a gap. You don't worry about hitting anybody. You go for penetration, and he likes that.
Tracy Ham to Craig Ellis, but there's a penalty flag. It's a first down for the Eskimos, but I think it's going to be brought back, a holding call against Edmonton.
Well, you knew it was. That man behind the defensive line throws that flag. It's going to be offensive holding. And Ellis had found a nice hole in the secondary, and it's going to wipe it out.
Holding, Edmonton, number 83.
Chris Johnstone, the blocking back, guilty of that holding call. It is now 2nd and 29. Previous play, they were looking at 2nd and 19, and they got it all with the pass to Ellis, but it is negated by that penalty call. And sideline pass intercepted by Reggie Pleasant. About 35,000 taking in the action tonight at the Sky Dome. They're enjoying it. And wherever you're looking in tonight on the CBC network, we hope you're enjoying our coverage of this east-west battle between the Argos and the Eskimos, with the Argos in front 9-0, 3:15 remaining in the half.
A little bit of play action and sprint outside. He lets it go. What happens? Stephon Jones, 78, slipped and fell. And when he got back up the run, the ball's overthrown. Pleasant's there to make the interception.
Back to the live action, and this is Gil Luttrell. Out of bounds at the 51, forced out by Enos Jackson. A gain of 8, maybe 9 yards. 2:58 remains in the half. You're watching Foster's CFL on CBC, live from the Sky Dome. He will score again.
Polka. Ridgeway. Good. Laird.
We're going home with it.
South. Richard. Touchdown. Tackle. The stars of the CFL are back.
We've got racing for you in a variety of forms this Saturday and Sports Weekend. Drag racing, the mechanical version, the Stampede Chuck Wagons, and whitewater canoeing. Those chuck wagon races from the Calgary Stampede, they are always exciting. Reggie Pleasant with the 2nd interception of the game for the Toronto Argonauts.
Coming, baby. You gotta keep coming. Get stronger now.
Okay.
We rolling. Hey, we can split up one thing.
Well, Reg Berry made the first interception for the Argos. Reg Pleasant the 2nd.
The defense has done a good job against this Eskimo offense. They've really limited them, given them nothing, make them earn everything, and they picked off a couple.
Gil Finnerty in second down won't get the first down yardage. Danny Bass, the middle linebacker, is there to make the tackle.
Danny Bass was the leading tackler in the CFL last year. He's telling you before the game, he says he likes to play this defense. The attack gap cancellation that Coach Matthews liked. He says, I will not lead the league in tackles this year. And he says, it doesn't bother me. He says, because of the fact I'm going to get more hits on the quarterback. But right now, he gets the penalty and keeps him from getting that first down. Going to force him to kick it.
Initially, he came into the CFL with the Toronto Argonauts in 1980. Traded to Calgary in 1981. He had a couple of outstanding years with Calgary. Then in 84 was sent to Edmonton in exchange for Tommy Scott.
Very reliable, dependable, and he's what you need in the middle. A little bit of experience.
Hank Alisic trying to ankle it out of bounds. This one will stay in the field of play. Hunter grabs it at the 1-yard line and is stopped as he gets up to the 10. I thought Hunter might have let that ball bounce into the end zone for a single point.
I was just thinking about that. The ball hit Alisic, kicked the spiral, and it turned over, and it hit point and would bounce straight up in the air. But I would have waited and let it hit again, see if it comes into the end zone, give them the point. Point's not going to hurt you. But again, the Argonauts have got them pinned in deep, and that's what you want. The defense does their job. They'll get a chance to put some more points on it.
Well, Alisic has kicked a 62-yard single, a 55-yard single, and that kick traveled 55 yards.
I guess he's right when he said he wants to kick with the dome closed. Last time we were here, he said he didn't like it.
Blake Marshall, the ball carrier, struggling out to the 17-yard line. Rodney Harding made the tackle from his defensive left end position.
Well, Gerald Bayless comes back after that knee injury. He had a great year last year. You see him with Rod Conniff, the offensive center. He's 6'6", but you see Bayless stand him up. If the defensive man can stand that offensive man up, he's got a chance to get rid of him and make the tackle. That's what he did.
Well, so far in the ball game, the Argo defense has overshadowed the much more publicized Edmonton Eskimo defense. Blake Marshall is stopped by Gerald Bayless. Is he going to get the first down? He had to be beyond the 20. And I think they stopped him just short of that 20-yard stripe, and there is an injured Edmonton Eskimo.
Dave Richardson.
An Edmonton product who played with the Edmonton Wildcats. Dave Richardson, the injured player. Gerald Bayless replacing Don Baldwin at that defensive tackle spot for Toronto. Bayless last year, one of the outstanding defensive players in the CFL. Because of injury, he missed the first 2 games.
Now, what you have to like if you're the Argonauts is Bayless and Holman. You know, they're both the same size, 6 foot tall, both of them around 250, 260 pounds, extremely quick. So they will make things happen inside, and then with Kolka and Harding outside, it gives them a heck of a front four, and they're getting a big effort from that defense tonight.
Ball is spotted just short of the 20-yard line, so the Eskimos send out their kicking unit. They're working on the left leg of tackle Dave Richardson, 6'4", 270 pounds.
Played a little offensive guard last year with the Edmonton Eskimos. Now he moves out to tackle. Let's see what happens. They're running toward him, running right at him. See Blake Marshall with the ball. He's getting shoved a little bit backwards, and he gets his leg caught underneath him. Bayless, as he was making the tackle, fell on the back of Richardson's leg, and you can bet they're checking the knee out right now. That's a dangerous, dangerous position.
Member of the Edmonton medical staff going out to check on Richardson. Either Andrew McConnell or Pierre Berchevelle will go into the ball game as a replacement. It appears as though it will be McConnell. There he is now, number 55, coming into the picture. And they, so far, have not made any attempt to move Richardson.
They got them out there to maybe help to carry him off the field. They're going to help him, get him up on the shoulders. They wanted some big guys out there, so he wouldn't have to put any weight on that left leg.
Well, maybe McConnell isn't going to go into the ball game. He's just going to go out there and help Richardson come off. McConnell signed by the Eskimos as a free agent, initially a draft choice of Winnipeg in 1987. And it is McConnell and Souls who assist Richardson to the sidelines. Berchevelle goes into the ball game, and the Eskimos are going to gamble on third down, third and less than 1, from inside the 20-yard line with 1:58 remaining in the half. I think they've got it.
They got it, but they earned it. Well, that was a great surge by that defense. He just got across that line. They moved Blake Dermott to the right tackle position, put Berchevelle in at guard, and they went right behind him. Dermott and Ambrosi, they got down, got that head inside, and away they run. He just got across that line.
Blake Marshall powered his way out to the 21-yard line. 1st and 10 Edmonton. 1:46 remaining in the half. 9-0. The Argos lead the Eskimos. The Eskimos attempting to remain unbeaten. The Argos trying to move into a first-place tie in the East. Stefan Jones, the intended receiver. It will be 2nd and 10.
Just drop that one. There's things tonight. Last week against Calgary, everything that the Eskimos did clicked. Tonight, they don't seem to be able to get it going properly on that pattern. Stephen Jones has probably caught that pattern 20 times a day in practice. He just dropped the football. Ham got it out there, and he couldn't hold it.
You don't think that maybe the Argo defensive unit has something to do with it, though?
They always do. They always do. But I just go, he's one-on-one with that back, and he's laying off on the catch.
Ham stepping up into the pocket after pressure. He'll try and run for the first down, and he should have it. One thing Ham is going to have to learn, start sliding when you've got that first down. Don't try and take on those tacklers.
Well, he was very fortunate there because Bisco got a hold of him, and Reggie Pleasant was coming, but the big thing was he got turned. Watch him. He makes a good move just to escape the rush. They get upfield, get that little bit of a trip on him, but watch him take off. And as you say, Don, learn to get down. Bisco, number 90, grabs him and turns him and shields him from the hit from Pleasant. So as you say, get down. You don't get paid to get hit.
1st and 10. Pass is complete to Richards. Another first down, Edmonton, to the 52-yard line. Still 1:03 remaining in the half. The safety, Todd Wiseman, made the tackle.
First time they've really gone to Richards tonight. Richards had to make a good move to get open. When he hooked to the outside and he was covered. And when Ham started to scramble, he slid back inside and opened up, or they were going to be sacked. Good catch by Richards. You see the pressure. Here's Richards looking now. Watch, he goes back inside, away from the grain, catches the football, forces Wiseman to bring him down.
Back to the live action. Underneath, and the pass is complete to Reggie Taylor, but, well, they're going to rule that that ball bounced before he caught it.
Yeah, it was signaled incomplete right away. Threw it sidearm and underhand. Just kind of flicked it out there.
It will be 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 53. 55 seconds remaining in the half.
Come on, Marco.
Hunter wide to the right. Stefan Jones to the left.
Step up to him.
Taylor was after Ham. He escaped him, but couldn't hit Reggie Taylor with the pass.
Good move. Just throw that football away. They went into man coverage and came after him, got him scrambling. Don't take the chance on the interception. Don Moan had good coverage. Just throw it away. Kick the football away.
3rd and 10 with 48 seconds remaining in the half. We remind you to stay tuned after the game for the Foster's MVP. Jerry Korick averaging just 28.3 yards. I wonder if he's feeling the effects of that earlier contact, the roughing or contacting the kicker call assessed against the Argos.
Well, the first kick after that was only the shortest one, 28 yards. See, he didn't hit it again. He's coming after this one. They better get it.
Braisley collided with one of his own men, Doran Major, and there's a penalty flag on the play as well.
The big thing about it is he was going for the football, and he trapped some Eskimos inside. But the big thing...
4 yards. Edmonton number 32. First down.
Big thing about it, Mike Souls is the guy that got trapped in there. But Karic was coming down the field, and Braisley saw it, and he just went after the ball.
Hank Olisic has certainly outkicked his Edmonton counterpart in tonight's ball game. But the concern at the bench being expressed over the injury sustained by Dave Richardson.
He's explaining, I had him. He had his Glock. The problem was when the tackle was made, the ball carrier found on it. 9 rushes, 2 receptions. There's another one. That's 3.
He's going to be stopped short of the first down with 31 seconds remaining in the half.
Get on the line and get the play call. 31 seconds. You got time for some plays. You get into field goal range. Clock's going to start running now. Taking a lot of time. Penalty needed to get out of bounds of that one.
They're taking a lot of time to get this play underway. 20 seconds remaining. Throwing deep, intended for Finnerty, and it's intercepted. Stanley Blair grabs that John Congemi throw back at his own 18-yard line.
Stanley Blair started in like he was going to cover the man to the post, and as soon as he got some help, he just settled right back, and he tried to throw it over his head, and Blair's there to make the interception.
Blair did a good job keeping his feet in bounds after reaching up to grab that throw.
There you see it right there. He got that one foot down, dragged the other one, no doubt about it. Well, when you throw an interception, you wish it would have taken a little more time off the clock.
Just 13 seconds remaining in the half. Well, if the Eskimos are going to do it, Stanley, I think it will have to be done in the second half. Only 13 seconds remain in the first half. Tracy Ham dumps it off, intercepted. This will be a touchdown for Rodney Harding. Chris Johnson, and he's rewarded with a touchdown.
He made a great play. Blake Dermott, normally the tackle will cut the defensive end, chop his legs out from under him, and he did that. He cut his legs out from under him, and as a result, Harding gets up, plays the screen, and scores. That's one time when you do something right and it hurts.
Lance Chomick with the point after attempt. And it's a 16-0 ball game with the Toronto Argonauts looking much the better team through the first 30 minutes.
He gets some pressure inside, but you see 83 going to the screen. You saw Blake Dermott made the block on him, and he got up and stepped right in front of Chris Johnstone and jogs into the end zone. That's well played by Rodney Harding. Look at him. He's on the ground. He's already down, but watch him get up just at the right time as the ball arrives. Good pressure on him back there on Tracy Ham, but boy, Harding made a great play. Hallman and Kulka were there. A little too much pressure on the screen.
What a startling turnaround just when it appeared as though the Eskimos would go to the dressing room trailing by 9 after that Stanley Blair interception. On the very next play, Rodney Harding runs it in 18 yards, intercepting the screen pass, and the Argos are now in control.
Well, I think the whole story of tonight's football game is the Argos came in being worried about the Eskimo defense. As a result, their defense has shut the offense of the Eskimos down, and now Toronto's gaining confidence offensively. Edmonton's going to have to really regroup at halftime to get things going.
Tony Hunter on the kickoff return. And he is hit from behind and hit hard by Peter Buchanan on the final play of the first half. So after 30 minutes of play, the Argos, to the delight of this crowd, lead by 16.
CBC Sports presents Inside the CFL.
The Argos 16, Eskimos nothing at the half. Welcome to Inside the CFL. As troubled franchises go, the league's most troubled currently is in the nation's capital. Turbulent describes the ride the Rough Riders have had for 3 years. their financial situation matching their on-field performance. They look to Joanne Polak and Steve Goldman to inject vitality into a sagging football market. Polak as general manager in charge of business operations, and Goldman as head coach and director of football operations, responsible for what goes on the field. And that end of things began looking up even before the season began, when Goldman signed quarterback Damon Allen. Yes, the Riders are 0-3, but they might be the most exciting winless football team in the CFL. Their problem is simple right now. There just is not enough money to go around. And we are joined live now from our Ottawa studios via satellite by Rough Rider general manager Joanne Polak. Joanne, you went to the city yesterday asking for financial help, and I understand the response was favorable. What exactly did you get?
We got all of the profit from all of the concessions that are going to be at Lansdowne Park. We got the beer, the parking, we got the food, and we also basically got the corporate boxes as well, so we were very pleased.
I understand the package that was endorsed yesterday is worth about $500,000. You've already had an advance of some $300,000 from the CFL, a freeze on payments of the over $700,000 you owe the league. Now, those figures combined with what the Rough Riders haven't got yet, what you're still asking for, add up to over $2 million. Is that what the Rough Riders need to stay in operation?
That's what we have. We've got a good budget right now, and we can manage things right now. We just have to get this deficit off our back, and we're going to be in great shape, and we're well on our way now. We've got 2 more important steps. We've got to get to the region and then the private sector, and then we're going to be a very healthy franchise.
Can you guarantee now on inside the CFL the Rough Riders will stay in operation for the entire season?
As long as I have anything to do with it, we can, but I believe that the people at the region are very much in support of the Ottawa Rough Riders, and we're looking to them for some kind of an indication as well.
The audit prior to your season opener in Winnipeg revealed that the club is not $1.5 million in debt, rather $1.9 million. A week after that, you had that ticket fiasco at Lansdowne Park when you had to let 1,500 fans into Lansdowne Park for free because the tickets could not be printed fast enough. And in so doing, you surrendered $22,500 in revenue. Does that not hurt your case when you go to any level of government, or even the league for that matter, asking for help?
Well, I think the word fiasco is a little overstated. We did let people in. We did lose some revenue, but a lot of those people have come back. They were pleased with the game. It was an exciting game. I'd rather have them inside than out, and they're buying tickets now, those people.
Well, what exactly happened?
Well, what happened was we have a computer system. We supplement it with a manual system to try to make sure that we can get a lot of people through. The manual system didn't have enough tickets in their booths, and so therefore it was slow. And when you get 10 or 11,000 people arriving in 15 minutes, you're going to have a bottleneck. They had a bottleneck in Edmonton as well. The difference is that we let them in for free. We let 1,500 in for free. If I had to do it again, I wouldn't hopefully have that kind of a situation, but I would let them in again for free.
Joanne, I understand from several people in Ottawa that something similar happened last year. Nobody got in for free, but they did line up for a long time on Bank Street waiting for tickets. So it wasn't as if there was no warning on this situation.
Well, what we did in order to accommodate that is we added the manual system to the situation. And again, when you get 10,000 or 11,000 people showing up at once, it's going to be slow. I mean, we rectified the situation for the last game. We had a huge crowd the last time, and we didn't have any problems at all. But,
Joanne, you're currently mired in red ink. Did you think it was going to be this bad when you took the job?
Absolutely. Steve and I both knew exactly what we were getting into. We knew we had we had a 2-16 team. We knew we had a deficit, and we knew it was going to be a tough year. But I tell you, we're both enjoying it. It's exciting up here.
Joanne Polak, we thank you for taking the time to join us live here on Inside the CFL, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us. Inside the CFL continues live from Toronto Skydome in just a moment.
Got it! Renfro. It's Elgar for the touchdown. Elgar. Pass. Murphy.
It's complete to Murphy at the 45.
Allen. Walker. Touchdown. Tackle out. The stars of the CFL are back.
Welcome back to Inside the CFL at Toronto Skydome, with the Eskimos trailing the Toronto Argonauts in something of an upset, 16-0 at the half. And if that lead holds up throughout the second half, expect the Eskimos to hightail it back to Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton for the second half of this doubleheader in record time, given it's been since 1981 since the Eskimos have won a regular season game in this city. Now let's go upstairs for some first half analysis from Ron and Don.
Well, Scott, all of the pregame talk revolved around the Edmonton Eskimo defense. I think the Toronto Argonauts, who feel they have a pretty solid defensive unit themselves, resented all that publicity about the Edmonton defense, and they were out to prove something tonight, and so far through 30 minutes they have.
You got to have a little bit of pride, and the Argonauts didn't have 14 wins last year without having some pride. They just decided tonight that their offense would try to shut that defense down and that their defense would show that they're every bit as good. And tonight they have done that. The story of the game has been the Toronto defense. Edmonton's offense has been able to gain nothing. They did manage to get Finnerty a touchdown from 1 yard, but more or less that Toronto defense has done their job.
3 interceptions by the Toronto Argonauts tonight, one by Reggie Pleasant, one by Reg Berry, but the one that really hurt, the one late in the game, 5 seconds remaining in the first half, by Rodney Harding.
Well, you saw the defensive end was taken out of the play with a block the way he should be. That allows the quarterback to throw the ball. But when it's your night, things go your way. And as Rodney Harding got up off the ground, he looks up and here comes the football. And then he knew where to go to score. It was only a 10-yard run. He knew that.
We speculated at the start of the ball game that while Tracy Ham was the starting quarterback, Coach Joe Farragelli wouldn't hesitate to switch to Rick Warman if Ham was struggling. Ham is obviously struggling.
The time is now, I believe. 30 minutes and Tracy Ham hasn't been able to put together a drive. I think Rick Warman will start the third quarter.
Just one drive for the Toronto Argonauts, but it did result in the touchdown by Gil Finnerty, and I think both John Konjemi and Bob Obilovich had to be pleased with the success. There were 4 very important second down conversions in that drive.
Well, there sure were, and Jeff Boyd was involved in most of them. He had Andre Francis man-to-man, and Francis come up and sit on his outside. He gave him a real quick step to his left, and then bang, cut inside, and Konjemi hit him, kept the drives alive, and then all of a sudden, when he needed it, he gave him a step inside, and he went out and made a nice catch on the ball thrown by Konjemi to put the ball down into the 2-yard line to enable him to score.
There's been a difference tonight in the kicking game as well, with Hank Alisic having a big edge over Jerry Korik.
A big one, because Alisic is he's averaging somewhere up around 53, 54 yards, and Korik somewhere down around 30. That's a big difference.
16-0 is somewhat a surprising first half result. The Argonauts in front of the Eskimos. Right now, let's rejoin Scotto.
Well, Don, we've mentioned a couple of times we hope to talk to Mike Pinball Clemens, the newest Argo, their exciting kick returner here and inside the CFL, but we understand that he was injured slightly, although slightly in the first half, and he was being taped at last word in the Argo dressing room and unable to join us. We do hope to talk to him perhaps prior to the start of the second half, or maybe at some point during the second half. The CFL on CBC returns in just a moment. Clemens from joining us and inside the CFL at halftime. It was a shoe problem which has now been rectified. This game was only seconds old when the Pinball had the Sky Dome crowd on its feet. With a spectacular kickoff return on the game's opening kickoff. He did fumble, but we saw the pinball effect. The name Pinball is appropriate. Do you agree?
Well, whatever fits. We just out here to really play ball. These guys are real tough competition. They've been playing well. We've gotten a break so far and hope it continues.
Quickly, they list you as 5'6". Are you that tall?
Not really. 5'5", 5'4.5", 5'5.5" on a good day.
Thanks, Mike. Good luck in the CFL. Don?
Well, if he continues to run the way he did in that first half, he will be around the CFL for a while. And this man can also do some running. Cornelius Reddick on that kickoff return, getting it back to the 45-yard line, stopped there by middle linebacker Bruce Holmes. Statistically, the big edge in the first half belonging to the Toronto Argonauts, as one might expect. But the turnovers were the key, particularly that last interception by Rodney Harding, when it looked as though it was going to end 9-0 in the first half with just 5 seconds remaining. He put it in the end zone for a 16-0 lead on the interception. Tracy Ham continuing somewhat surprisingly at quarterback.
That is a surprise. When you saw those offensive statistics on the board, I thought for sure Rick Warman would start the third quarter. He could get warmed up, ready to go, know you're going in. They start out running, no chance. Harold Hallman's there to make the hit again.
Blake Dermott has moved over to the right tackle position in place of the injured Dave Richardson, and Pierre Bercheval has moved into the guard spot on the left side. Ham on second down, taking the deep drop, throwing complete to Tom Richards. First down Edmonton to the 45 of Toronto. But there's a penalty flag, and it will probably be brought back by a holding call.
That particular time, Tracy Ham had time to stand in the pocket, pick out his receiver, and throw it. Maybe this is why.
Holding. Edmonton number 63. Second down repeated.
Veteran Hector Pottier guilty of the holding violation. Potke's been around for a long time, first breaking into the CFL in 1978 with Montreal. Well, Rick Warman patiently waits on the sidelines. I'm sure he's ready if Faragelli decides to give him the call. And throws intercepted by Red Pleasant, his second of the game. He has an escort down the sideline. A 40-yard return after the interception by Red Pleasant, his second of the game, intended for Craig Ellis.
He's got man-to-man on Don Moen. He turns up. But when you sprint to one side of the field to a hash mark and throw that ball all the way across, you better have a cannon. And he couldn't get it there, and as a result, Pleasant's there to make the interception.
Stanley Blair almost came up with his second interception, the pass intended for Morris. That's the fourth interception of the night, charged against Tracy Ham, and he has completed just 30% of his passes.
Pleasant took the football and gave it over to that young lady. We don't know who it is, but she seems pleased with it.
Second and 10. Conjemi under pressure. Stuman was coming from that right side. Now defensively, the Eskimos will always line up with Stuman on the wide side of the field and Stuart Hill on the short side.
Well, once again, now they finally got what they wanted. Stuman is unblocked, and this is what they were talking about earlier. See Conjemi pointing it out, but coming from the top of the screen, you'll see Chris Schultz, the tackle, steps down inside, and look, no one there to block Stuman. Now, when a quarterback sees a guy like that coming, that's scary. No wonder he stepped forward and fell down.
That's when you want to call time.
Yeah, time. Don't hit me. I didn't do anything.
Field goal attempt by Chonick. It is wide. Hunter will concede a single point. And it's 17-0. You're watching Foster's CFL on CBC. Well, unless the Edmonton Eskimos can put something together in the second half, their string of failures in Toronto in regular season play will stretch into 1990.
You know, yesterday at the press conference, Bob Obilovich was talking about that, you know, winning at home, losing on the road. But he said, this year it's even more important, he said, because of the fact that the Eskimos are getting so much publicity from the defensive standpoint and that big outburst last week of 54 points. He said it's a real challenge to our guys, and he said we're looking forward to it. I'd say they've met it. They played well on both sides of the ball.
The Toronto Argonauts have definitely responded. This has not been a night that Tracy Ham will put in his memoirs. Reggie Taylor, the ball carrier, stopped after a gain of about 3.
There again, Harold Hallman sitting down inside. The number 70 inside along with number 99, Harold Hallman. We'll say, take a look at the two of them. Bayless comes to his right. He's got two men blocking on him. Hallman just throws him away. Hallman right there on the bottom. Bayless there to help out, and everybody gets a piece of him.
Gain of 3. It will be 2nd and 7, Edmonton. Here's the blitz from the halfback position. Wiseman was coming. The pass is thrown up, and it's incomplete, intended for Richards. But there were two people over there defending, Brazeley and Major. Wiseman blitzing from his safety position. They picked him up, but that pass was almost intercepted.
You know, we talked last week in one of the games about blitzing a halfback and playing a zone. Now, when he sees Todd Wiseman, he's expecting man-to-man coverage, and he doesn't see Durand Major sitting back there, just going to be back there to help out. Now, Brazeley had him covered. I thought for sure Major was going to pick it off.
This is a much better punt by Jerry Corrick. Clemens takes it. Penalty flag goes down. Touchdown. But it's going to be brought back. A 70-yard return I'll tell you one thing, Bob Obilovich has to be delighted in what he has seen from Mike Clemens, the man they call Pinball.
Illegal block. Toronto number 26. First down.
Wiseman was guilty of that illegal block. But Clemens is going to generate some excitement if he continues this.
Well, the big thing about it is that Bob Obilovich said his kicking game, he was losing yards every week. Their return yards were going down. They had plans for Pernell Moore to do it, but he had the injury. So therefore, they put him into the lineup. And as you say, he creates some excitement when he gets his hands on the football.
1st and 10 at the 25-yard line. Gil the Thrill is stopped after a pickup of about 3 by Greg Stuman.
So far, we have not seen Gil Finnerty to be able to just find a hole and hit through there in a hurry, and that's that gap cancellation. We'll take a look at the penalty. They call Todd Wiseman, hits Mike Soles right there, right in the middle of the back. Got to be called. It's a good call by the official. And that's where Clemens ran, so that clip helped a little.
2nd and 7, Toronto. The Argos at their own 28-yard line. Down the sidelines for Smith. He makes the catch at the 50. 22 yards on the throw from Kangemi to Darrell Smith.
They start Smith to the outside and bring the wide receiver, in this case Boyd. He kind of stutter step and then comes under. When he does that, the defender goes with him, and then Smith turns up the field. Nice throw. Throw it high to the outside to the sideline. If your man doesn't get it, nobody gets it. Smith brought it down.
Smith again for 5 more.
If you can throw the ball quick like that, he's taking a real quick drop and getting rid of it, then that blitz can't get to you. You will get rid of the football. Make the quick read. That's what he was talking about in the paper and yesterday at practice. He said, I have to be mentally sharp, make a quick read, and get rid of the football. In the last 2 plays, he's done that.
He actually picked up 6 on that pass. It's 2nd and 4. The ball is at the 54 of Edmonton. Boyd, it's intercepted. Jackson down the sideline. Out of bounds at the 19-yard line.
Well, that's the guy we talked about in the opening. He's a rookie. You assume they will go after him. Normally you go after him in a man-to-man defense. This is just a zone defense. Andre Francis steps up and plays a short flat. They tried to go deep, and he overthrows it. And watch number 29 step right in there and get it. And he's got some pretty good speed when he gets turned upfield. 5'9", 175 pounds, coming out of Memphis State. Hudson showed good speed in getting over there to knock him out of bounds.
That's the 2nd interception of the ball game for the Eskimos. The other one by Stanley Blair. And this is the best field position that the Eskimos have enjoyed all night. 1st and 10 from the 24. Blake Marshall stopped right at the line of scrimmage. .9:37 remaining in the 3rd quarter. 17-0. The Argos lead the Eskimos. It will be 2nd and 10 Edmonton. Jeff Boyd attempting to explain what went wrong to Coach Bob Obilovich on that Enos Jackson interception. Low throw for Craig Ellis. No catch.
Well, you had both officials, one on each side of him, that signaled incomplete in a way. We'll take a look at it. Mo Waters got us a picture. We'll see if number 33 makes it. Upfield, hook to the outside, hook away from Visco into the hole. Here comes the ball. Pretty tight. I think it hit the ground.
I think he got his hands down on the ground, but I think it went
through the hands and hit the ground and then skipped up. Both officials, one on each side of them, they had it covered both sides, and they made the call immediately.
Corinth with a field goal try of 31 yards. It's good. And the Edmonton Eskimos, with 8:53 remaining in the 3rd quarter, are finally on the scoreboard. These two teams meet again on the CFL on CBC television a week tonight at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. We hope you'll be joining us for that one. The Argonauts leading by a score of 7-3. And with a kick returner such as Mike Clemens, they are asking the Edmonton Eskimos to kick off following that field goal. John Conjemi, in a starting role, has done a pretty good job. He's done a good job in particular of reading that Edmonton Eskimo defense.
And getting rid of it. Like on that particular play when Jeff Boyd was explaining over there, that play is designed for a man-to-man defense. They read the zone. They have to adjust their routes. He threw it to the right person. He just threw it too high.
That's okay. I'm just getting it underneath.
Morris and Clemens are back. And Clemens will get an opportunity again to return, and you hear a buzz of anticipation go through the crowd. Another penalty flag.
Same guy, Wiseman.
Wiseman again is guilty of hitting a tackler in the back. And that wipes out another fine return by Clemens, this one up 25 yards.
Holding, Toronto number 26, first down.
Wiseman's going to go over and ask to get off the punt team and the special teams. He said, I'm having a bad night. You know, the Eskimos haven't played well, but, you know, these kind of penalties, that's hurt. A punt return, now a kickoff return, don't let them up. When you get them down, keep the pressure on them. You know, they intercept or get a turnover here and put it in the end zone. It's a whole new ball game.
Tim Jesse, after that spectacular 199-yard game against the Ottawa Roughriders, is the leading rusher in the CFL. Gil Fenerty occupies the number 2 spot. Fenerty improving on that number 2 position with a gain of about 5 yards on this carry.
Boy, Brett Williams cut down hard to the inside. He had the gap in the inside, and he just bounced off Fenerty. Fenerty's an awful strong runner. You saw him that time carry 2 or 3 with him to gain that yards, about almost 6.
Fenerty with just 25 yards so far tonight, but that's better than his counterpart, Reggie Taylor. Pass was intended for Morris. I think that's the first pass that has gone in his direction tonight, and that is Stuart Hill, who was in on top of quarterback John Conjemi, perhaps hastening the throw.
Well, we talked about those 2 guys. You know, one to the wide side is Stuman, short side of the field is Hill. They can rush the quarterback. He threw it on time, but Morris was in perfect position. Give him a little shove from Stanley Blair. He was a little disappointed he didn't get interference, but it was good defense.
Balisic is having an outstanding night punting.
Yeah, he's going to have to improve that average when you only average 50. Now I see why Bob Obilovich wanted the dome closed.
Another beauty. Hunter takes it at his own 29. There's a penalty flag. That will probably be a late hit call against the Toronto Argonauts.
That's 3 straight major penalties coming on 3 straight kicks.
That almost certainly will improve the Edmonton Eskimo field position as Hunter got the ball back to the 40, but let's listen to the penalty.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto number 58, first down.
It was Bruce Holmes guilty of that major foul. Scott?
Well, Don, it's not surprising given the pain he was in on the field late in the first half that starting offensive tackle Dave Richardson will not play for the Eskimos again tonight. The extent of ligament damage to his left knee, undetermined right now. He is in the dressing room being iced down. Would also be a surprise if he could play next week in the second half of this home-and-home series.
Tracy Ham escaped some initial pressure, but waiting for him was Tony Visco. But it was Bayless who got up in his face and flushed him out of the pocket.
Bayless is having a heck of a night for coming back off that knee injury. It seems like he's been everywhere. On that series before, he picked the center up and threw him down and made the tackle. First down here, he's right back into Tracy Ham's face. They've missed him the first 2 games.
Pierre Verchevel has moved in to replace Dave Richardson. He has actually gone to the guard spot with Blake Dermott moving over into the tackle spot vacated by Richardson. There's that quick pass over the middle to Tom Richards. And Bruce Holmes makes the tackle, but not before Richards picks up a first down.
Finally got him in the defense he wanted. As the ball was snapped, Tony Visco, the outside linebacker, turned his back to run to the outside. Bang, right inside to Richards, and that forces Holmes to come over to make the tackle.
You know, a couple of years ago, they did some eye tests on various members of the Edmonton Eskimos and the Edmonton Oilers hockey team. And Richards had one of the highest scores in those hand-eye coordination tests. And I think that's a valuable asset for a receiver to have.
Oh, it sure is, because when you're running and you turn, how quick can you locate the ball? How quick can you focus to it? And he does it awfully quick. He's got good speed. They finally come back to something that they did early in the football game, too. Just send Stephon Jones down the field, break him to the outside, and throw it at him. Just a simple out pattern. He makes the catch. He takes a good hit from Reggie Pleasant. That's okay. He'll sacrifice it for the first down.
Jones comes left. Reddick goes wide to the right. 1st and 10 Edmonton. They are at the 28-yard line. Hand off to Taylor. Taylor gets a block from Reddick. He gets down to the goal line. He scores.
Well, Don, we talked about him in the opening that he would be one of the offensive keys. And Joe Farragelli says you have to get him the ball and keep giving it to him. All running backs get better the more they carry the football. And watch the speed that he shows. This play is designed to go off tackle. He takes one look, says it looks better outside, and he turns on the jets. Gets inside. There they come. Wiseman gets him on about the 2, gets a little help, but he makes that last dive and lands in the end zone. Now we're right back into a football game.
Yes, the point after, if Corrick is successful, will bring the Edmonton Eskimos within a converted touchdown of the leading Toronto Argonauts. 5:48 is the time remaining in this third quarter. It's now 17-10. You're Jerry Corrick kicking off following that touchdown, and he kicks it away from Clemens, this time to Lee Morris. And Morris is taken out of bounds up at the 46-yard line by Don Wilson. Well, the Toronto Argonauts put together a good scoring drive in the first half. Joe Farragelli has to be pleased with that effort by Tracy Ham. 5 plays, 55 yards, a major score.
Yeah, and that was a good indication of what Joe was talking about with Reggie Taylor. You know, if you keep giving him the ball with his ability and quickness and speed, he will make something happen. And he sure turned it on when he bounced outside. He just outraced everybody to the end zone.
Morris comes wide right. Jeff Boyd to the left. Boyd takes it out of bounds at the 50 of the Edmonton Eskimos. A first down, Toronto.
Coach Bilovich and Ellis Rainsberger were both up there, thought that Andre Francis hit him outside. He did hit him a little bit outside. Take a look at this. Mo Waters will find it for us. Watch the out pattern to Boyd. Back, make the read, let it go. Watch, he catches it, steps out. Francis comes up and hits him. Coach Bilovich let him know.
Joe Finnerty, another first down, and he too is thrown out of bounds, and again, Bob Bilovich is protesting that the Eskimo defensive unit was a little overzealous in the way they threw Finnerty out of bounds.
They had Finnerty stopped outside. He's carried the ball 12 times. That's the first time where he's actually gone outside, been able to look around and cut back inside and pick up good yardage. Took a pretty good hit on the sideline, but it's a 1st and 10 for the Argos, and they're marching, and they need to march the football to get their momentum back.
Finnerty in that 124-yard game against Hamilton in the season opener only carried 11 times. This is the reverse with Emmanuel Tolbert. It does not work as he is stopped at the 34-yard line by Danny Bass and Don Wilson.
Well, Tolbert come around on the reserve, but Don Wilson made the play. I'll tell you, the Toronto Argonauts did a heck of a job on Greg Stuman. Watch him at the bottom of the screen. Smith hit him. We're not going to get a chance to see, but one of the linemen just flattened him. But Don Wilson did what he's supposed to do. Stay home and make the guy turn in. He turned Tolbert in and got in on the hit.
4:04 remaining in the third quarter. It's 2nd and 7, Toronto. The ball is at the 35. Oh, coming in untouched was Greg Stuman from that wide side.
Well, you saw the Toronto offensive linemen yapping at one another, doing a little finger pointing and arguing. And that's what Danny Bass said. If you can get them happen to make decisions, watch the decisions. They make the wrong one because Greg Stuman is unblocked. You see Danny Bass coming, he's blocked, but Stuman is free. And we saw that in the pre-game thing. He had a free shot at a Calgary quarterback. Well, he had another one. And you know what? He's got to love him.
field goal attempt of 50 yards for Lance Chomick. It's going to fall short. Hunter gets a hold. Now it's a foot race. And making a saving tackle is Congemi.
That's why you always have your quarterback as a safety man down there. Sure tacklers. John Congemi, I didn't even see him there. I thought he was off to the races, and all of a sudden he reached up and got him. Big tackle by Congemi. Hunter, when he made the first split, he catches this ball under the end zone. Watch him. He makes a move, coming to his right. Right there. There's the hole, and boy, did he accelerate when he saw it. Now, just get out of his way. I saw Ryan Hansen have a shot out of John Congemi. The only guy left, he makes the tackle.
First and 10, Edmonton at the 45 of the Toronto Argos. Good fake by Ham. Sideline pass to Stephan Jones, and he makes the catch at the 28.
He came down with his foot on the line, but the reason he did is Reggie Pleasant had the grasp on him. He would have landed inbounds. That's a referee's call. You see the quarterback coming outside. Tracy Ham, Jones just down, turn to the outside, right here. See, he's inbounds, but when Pleasant hits him, it puts him out. Therefore, it's inbounds. Good play.
First and 10, Edmonton. They are at the Toronto 28. Ham was looking for Reddick on the far side. He underthrew him. Reddick was being covered by Brazeley. Well, we questioned the decision of Joe Farragelli to stay with Tracy Ham. We perhaps now understand why Pops opted to stay with a starting quarterback.
Well, he's the coach. He makes the decision, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have questioned the decision in the third quarter. But sometimes you figure, hey, he's got himself into trouble, see if he can get himself out of trouble. So it's a lot of confidence for a young quarterback only in his really second year starting. So shows a lot of confidence in him.
Only completed 33% of his passes, but the Edmonton Eskimos are still very much in this ball game.
Everybody talks about the completion. You know, quarterbacks like to hit about 55% or better. The main thing is to look up at the scoreboard at the end and have one more point. Win the football game. That's what matters.
One of the reasons that the Argos indicated earlier that they enjoy having the roof closed is that the roof holds the noise in the Sky Dome, and they feel that noise helps them because it's a home crowd, and it is definitely noisier in here tonight than it was in the season opener against Hamilton.
Oh, it sure is.
Tracy Ham, lots of time. Richards.
You hit the nail on the head. He had about a week to throw that football. That was a good job by that offensive line of the Eskimos. He sat back there. He looked to the right side, the left side, and finally found Richards coming across the middle. Look at him sitting in there. Reggie Taylor blocking on Rodney Harding does a good job, even though there's a heck of a size difference. But Richards finally finds the hole. Ham finds him. Look how much time he has. Got there a little bit too late, though. He had about 8 seconds, and he made the throw.
Knocked down. Tony Visco getting a hand on that football. It will be second and goal from the 6-yard line.
Reg Berry almost was there for the interception again. You know, there are certain players that seem to be around the football whenever it goes up for grabs. And so far tonight, Berry's been everywhere. Again, number 90 with that left hand. He just dropped that one. He almost picked that off.
Second and goal, Edmonton from the 6. 1:33, the time remaining in the third quarter. The Argos leading by 7 points. Ham will run this one in.
Kolka took an outside rush that he should as a defensive end. Hector Papier turned him outside, and Tracy Ham just walked right through the opening into the end zone.
One of the advantages of having a quarterback as mobile as Tracy Ham.
Well, you said he rushed for 3,000 and threw for 5,000 in college. Look at that. Good job by Hector Papier, and a good job inside by Pierre Vercheval at that left guard position. Allowed Tracy Ham to walk into the end zone.
Well, if the Argos were thinking they were home and cooled out, they are now going to be in a 17-17 deadlock with 1:23 remaining in the third quarter. It was 16-0 at the half, 17-0 early in the third quarter, and the Eskimos have come back with 17 straight points.
Well, it's been two distinct football games, too. You know, that Eskimo offense looked a little bit pathetic the first half, but their defense has been pretty consistent. They've done a good job all through the game, but all of a sudden now the offense caught fire. When Tony Hunter brought this field goal back, didn't take Tracy Ham very long to tie this game.
Joe Farragelli, who has been around the CFL since 1967 in his third head coaching role. His first was with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Then he had a very short tenure with the Montreal Alouettes. And on July 6, 1987, replaced Jackie Parker, who quit because of health reasons, as head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos.
Very laid back. The players kind of relax under him. Notice at practice yesterday, they were laughing, having a good time. And that's the way they do things in Edmonton, and it's been very successful for them.
Jerry Corrick preparing to kick off with the score tied at 17. 1:23 remaining in the third quarter. Morris on the kickoff return, following that wall that the Argos set up. He followed it well until he ran into Michael Soles.
Michael Soles made a nice tackle. Boy, when a guy's running a kickoff return like Morris did, he hit that hole and accelerated. Soles did the form tackle, got underneath, hit him with his shoulder, lifted him, and put him down.
Well, John Congemi has to show a little consistency now. He has to put together a series of plays, as he did in the first half, and that touchdown drive culminated in the end zone romp by Gil Pennerty.
And he's got to do it soon now, because they need to get some momentum back. They need to move this ball down the field, make some first downs, and come out of here with some points.
Darrell Smith makes the catch. That's the first down.
That shows you that everybody makes mistakes. That time they turned Darrell Smith wide open in the flat. Congemi sees it. Watch, when he catches the football, no Eskimo is covering. Somebody missed the call. He turns upfield with it, turns it into a nice game.
First and 10, Toronto. The ball is at the 42 of the Eskimos. Jeff Boyd wide left. Morris out to the right. Congemi looks right. Underthrows Gil Pennerty.
He said Congemi looked right at Pennerty. He said, my fault. And it was. He just threw it low, threw it short. That happens sometimes.
A concession from a quarterback that he could actually mishandle the football, throw it incorrectly.
Yeah, usually you point at the other guy and say my fault. That way no one knows. Yeah, but he did. He pointed at himself that time.
Throwing deep for Tolbert.
John, set for the game, we're talking about offensive and defensive keys. We said we had to get Emmanuel Tolbert in a ball game, and that he'd work on the rookie Jackson. He is a big play man, and he just got to step on Jackson, and all of a sudden it's coming back. I didn't even see the flag, or else that's the end of the quarter, huh? End of the quarter. That was a big, big play to Tolbert.
What a way for the Argos to end the quarter here at the Sky Dome. But is it the end? We have had no gun.
Well, they walked halfway back. Now they're going back down the field. I guess when the play ended, there was 1 second on the clock, so they have to have another play. So the quarter will end after this. Well, this is a nice catch, well-thrown football. Look, high over the shoulder. Tolbert catches it over his left shoulder while looking to his right. That is good ability. That's why he's a big play man, and all Jackson can do is make the tackle. But Tolbert's a guy they want to get into the action.
He did quite a job of hanging on to that football. It was slipping from his grasp, but he managed to maintain his grip on it. First and goal from the 7. This should be the final play of the third quarter. Darrell Smith unable to hang on. He was being harassed by Jackson. And that is the end of the quarter. You're watching Foster's CFL on CBC. start the fourth quarter. It's 2nd and goal for the Argos from the 7 of the Edmonton Eskimos. Just under 35,000 ready to roar approval if the double blue can put it in the end zone. Intended for Smith, it's short. He was being covered by Jackson, and Kangemi underthrew him.
Pretty wise thing, too. If he puts this ball up where it's catchable, I think 29 Jackson might have been going the other way with it. He had good coverage on him. I was trying to figure out, I was looking for Jeff Boyd. I thought they might put Boyd over on Francis. Go after him again. He had a lot of success the first half, but they elect to go to Smith. It didn't work.
So that means Lance Chomik will be attempting a field goal of 14 yards to try and put the Argos into the lead again. It's good. So it's now 20-17. Toronto ahead of the Edmonton Eskimos. While we have an opportunity, let's remind you that this program is copyright and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. Don Whitman along with Ron Lancaster and Scott Oak at the Sky Dome in Toronto, and a week tonight we'll be at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton as these two teams meet again. We hope you'll be joining us on the CBC television network for exciting CFL action. Reggie Taylor trying to bounce to the outside. Just too many double blue jerseys over there for him to escape. Roddy Harding made the initial contact. Tony Visco finished off Reg Taylor.
Another injury, Eskimo number 50, Blake Dermott, but I really believe this is a cramp, just the way he's grabbed his foot. Pretty warm down there tonight for the ball players. The humidity's been very, very tough last 3 or 4 days here in Toronto. Looking down there, those players doing a lot of sweat. Cramps become a problem. One, it's hot and humid, and two, the field is hard.
Blake Dermott, a veteran offensive lineman. He was a 1983 territorial protection of the Edmonton Eskimos. Those days have gone by the boards. Now all the players are chosen through the draft.
You know, we look down at the turf. They made the changes in it this week. At least we don't see the bases. You know how they were having problems with that for the Hamilton game. They've got new pieces of turf, and they put right down in there, and now it's solid. But I really believe that the field at CNE Stadium was a better football field than this one. Let's see. Go down and talk to Scott.
Well, Don, Blake Dermott's going to have to come out, obviously, with the training staff looking at him. That means Ron Conop has just gone into the game, but he didn't play for the entire third quarter. It took him a few minutes to get the correct answers to the questions, where are you and what day is it? That after he was knocked unconscious momentarily early in the third quarter. But obviously the cobwebs are clear now, and he's gone back into the game in place of Blake Dermott.
I still like the story Ron Lancaster tells about where are you, what day is it, what city are we in. A game over in Calgary.
Yeah, Bruce Bennett was my roommate then, a defensive back, and he got hit early in the quarter, and anyhow, Coach Keys made him sit out. Second quarter, he come to me and wanted to know why he couldn't go back in the ball game. I said, we got to talk to the coach. I said, you probably don't even know where you are. Where are you? He says, we're in Calgary. I said, how do you know? He said, said so right over on the hill.
Yes, at McMahon Stadium, they used to have Calgary on the north end zone, on the embankment at the north end zone.
The bad part of the story is he knew I didn't know where I was.
Well, this results in some juggling. Berchevelle goes to right tackle. Conop goes to guard. And McConnell is at center.
Uh-oh.
Doran Major had 6 points. Had he been able to get both hands on that football.
I thought he was gone. I said, uh-oh, I figured this is 6.
Turnovers have played a key role in tonight's ball game, 8 of them in total. And they certainly can't blame those turnovers on weather conditions.
Yeah, that's one of the bad things about playing in the dome. You know, you're outside, it can be windy and rainy and all that. Pretty tough to say anything in here.
Windy and rainy is exactly the weather that Toronto experienced this afternoon. Clemens is the lone man back. This is the best kick of the night by Jerry Corrick. Clemens is extremely quick. He gets it back to the 37. You're watching Foster's CFL on CBC live from the Sky Dome. 13:20 is the time remaining here at the Sky Dome. The Argos leading the Eskimos by 3 points. It's 1st and 10 Toronto. They will scrimmage from their own 37-yard line following that Jerry Corrick kick and the Mike Clemens return. Joe Fennerty will be looking for more work in the final 13:20 of this ball game.
He hasn't been the factor in the football game that I know Bobo Bilovich wants. He wants him to be a major part, maybe 50% of the offense, because he wants all the rushing yards. But tonight hasn't been the factor, and that's a credit to the Edmonton defense.
Fennerty felt that the Argos would be able to run against the Eskimos in this ball game. Jeff Boyd makes the catch on the sidelines for a first down at the 54 of the Eskimos.
Caught him in a zone defense, one-on-one on the backside, just down and out to Boyd. Boyd made some big catches for him tonight, too. But watch this, nobody near him. Little ball's a little bit low, gets the arms under it. Referee on the behind him and the one in front of him. Both sides said good catch.
First and 10. The ball is at the 51 of the Argos. I had spotted that ball incorrectly. I believe I said it was the 54 of the Eskimos. It's the 51 of the Argos. Larry Ruck managed to turn the play in, and Danny Bass and Brett Williams made the tackle.
We talk about that Edmonton defense. We say Danny Bass is the middle linebacker. Look where he's lined up on this play. He's outside. This is what he likes. He gets to move around, and as you say, when Ruck turns him in, he's there to make the hit. That's why Bass said this defense is fun to play.
A loss of 1. It's 2nd and 11. Boyd, the intended receiver, Francis, this time had good position on him to deflect it away.
Francis didn't give a move. He did not sit deep. He wasn't afraid of Boyd going deep. A lot of times, second down long yardage, the defensive back, especially when you have the experience a guy like Francis has, says, you're just going to throw the ball far enough to get it 1st and 10. You're not going to try to beat me deep. I'm not going to honor it. Now, you always look around and say, if I'd have had him going deep, we'd probably have a touchdown. But they're smart. Andre Francis is a very intelligent defensive back. He played the percentages and won.
The Argos right now on another big kick from Olisic. Not one of his better punts of the night. And Hunter is looking to return it. Excellent run back up to the 47-yard line.
If they could have got the block on Tony Bisco and allowed him to get to the sidelines, he had the wall was set. Bisco was unblocked, turned it back inside, therefore they get pursuit and make the tackle.
Olisic well below his punting average for the game. That kick traveling just 40 yards, and it was returned 26 by Hunter. .16 remaining in the game. The Argos 20, Edmonton 17. Remember, the Argos in the 3rd quarter led 17-0. Reggie Taylor breaks a couple of tackles and turns a nothing play, really, into a gain of about 5, maybe 6 yards.
Well, that's what they talk about when they say just quickness. That's just start outside. They shut it down, wouldn't let him out there. So when he turned inside, he just took it straight upfield, and he got 6 yards with it.
Another injured Edmonton Eskimo. I believe it's Blake Dermott again.
When you come from the prairies, like the Eskimos do, you come into the humidity, high humidity. It really takes its toll on the teams coming east.
Again, the way they're treating Blake Dermott, it would appear that he has a cramp in that right leg.
Tough on him right now, you know. You're not used to that humidity. It sneak up on you in a hurry.
Well, the the 34,840 at the Sky Dome are making a lot of noise right now. They want these Argos to hold the Eskimos with 10:49 remaining in the fourth quarter. They were all set to celebrate an apparent Argo victory early in the third quarter when it was 17-0, but the Eskimos suddenly caught fire under the direction of Tracy Ham, and 17 unanswered points put them back in the tie before Lance Charnock kicked the field goal from 14 yards out.
Yeah, to the mistake that we figured Tracy Ham wouldn't be in there in the third quarter, but he's done a good job.
Gil Bennerdy and Reggie Taylor occupying the number 2 and 3 rushing positions in the CFL behind Tim Jesse of Winnipeg. Jesse vaulted into the lead with that big 199-yard performance on Tuesday night against the Ottawa Rough Riders.
It's always a good sign for coaches. You know, you can get that running attack going. It makes your passing attack go that much easier. It slows the defense down. They can't rush the quarterback the way they like to. Every team would like to run the football. You just got to work a little harder at it.
Winding up this week's play in the CFL, Week 3, tomorrow night at Taylor Field in Regina. The Rough Riders will entertain the Hamilton Tiger Cats, 2 undefeated teams in the CFL. The Edmonton Eskimos attempting to remain in the same position, but at the moment they trail by 3 with 10:49 remaining in the fourth quarter.
Was stiffened up on him in a hurry, didn't it? It was stiff when he was on the ground. He got up, took a couple steps, and bang, it's tight again. The way he's dragging that left leg.
Again, a lot of juggling along that offensive line by the Eskimos. McConnell is at center. Berchevelle goes to that tackle position. Reg Taylor, the ball carrier, close to the first down. Stopped by Don Moen, the linebacker.
Played just about as well as you can by Don Moen on that. It's a counter play where they start away and come back at you. Moen turned it in, then dove inside and make the tackle. You can't play it much better.
The way those Eskimo offensive linemen are going down, Coach Faragelli has to be very happy that he has 2 backups dressed for this contest, because both are in there now, Pierre Berchevelle and Andrew McConnell.
Yeah, a lot of teams only have one. Boy, it's very fortunate that they're both there tonight. Well, that'd be tough. Then you have to put one of those big defensive linemen over there.
3rd and 1. Blake Marshall should have it.
I think it's going to come to the spot. Boy, the Durand Major come from the outside and knock down a 230-pound running back. Boy, you would think when a running back like Marshall gets outside, he'd run over that little defensive back, but Durand Major really put a hit on him.
Well, the spot of the ball gives the Eskimos a first down, much to the relief of Joe Faragelli.
Tried to take it away.
Some coaches prefer to wear the headset. Bob Obilovich does. Faragelli doesn't. He likes the freedom of being able to move up and down the sidelines and direct all phases of the game. This is Reg Taylor on that middle screen, and he is stopped after a gain of 2. One of the reasons some coaches wear that headset is they are more involved in one particular aspect of the game, either defensively or offensively.
That's right. If you look on the Argonaut bench, Joe Moss wears the headset and talks to Dennis Meyer upstairs from a defensive standpoint. Bob Obilovich wears it and talks to Jim Gilstrap, and he's more inclined. He calls the offensive plays.
2nd and 8. Penalty flag is down. Almost certainly a holding call against the Eskimos. Ham would have the first down without a penalty, but I think it's going to be brought back.
Well, you saw Harding and Bayless standing down there telling them, come on back, come on back.
Andrew McConnell is having a terrible time with Gerald Bayless.
Holding. Edmonton number 55, 2nd down repeated.
He's had a tough time keeping him out of there. This time he held him to keep him out of there and got caught. McConnell's he's 295 pounds. They list him at 6'2", but he's only in his 3rd year and really just starting to play a little bit. Bayless is too quick for him. Let's watch him right on top of him. Watch him. Around him, he's gone. He's got that shoulder on the other side. He's going to get by him. He just grabs him with both hands and holds on.
2nd and 18. The Eskimos backed up to their own 50-yard line now. Ham has time. Then he quickly had to get rid of it to Craig Ellis, and Ellis is stopped at the 54 of the Argos with 8:23 remaining. Visco and Berry combining to bring down the Edmonton slot back.
I thought Craig Ellis had a nice statement for us tonight. We're down talking to him for the game. We asked him how he liked playing slot back. This is fun. He said, you got little defensive backs hitting you instead of big defensive linemen and linebackers that he faced when he was running with the football.
You have an interesting theory about the defensive backs hitting those receivers at the line of scrimmage. In the Canadian Football League, with all that movement, why do the receivers allow themselves to be hit?
I don't know. You're allowed to go in motion. I don't know why they stand there and let them hit them. Use this field to your advantage. Every step you take in motion, they got to get off of you, and you'll get off free.
High punt by Corrick.
That one's not coming down.
Clemens bouncing his way into open territory. He is going to be a threat every time he handles a kick.
Number 43 on the Eskimo defensive line is tackle John Mandrich, who normally wears number 75. He put number 43 on in something of a panic here a few moments ago to become eligible as an offensive lineman in the event that he had to go in. That's because, as you have mentioned, the offensive line has been juggled a lot tonight with injuries. Blake Dermott cramps, Richardson out with ligament damage for an undetermined length of time, and so the juggling, in fact, extended to the defense. There was a chance that Mandrich would have to play offense.
Well, playing offense isn't something new for Mandrich, because initially he broke into the CFL as an offensive lineman. The Eskimos converted him into a defensive lineman. But he is ready, should he be called upon, to go to the offensive side of the football. Right now, he's concentrating on defense, and he's over there to help make the tackle on Gil Fenerty.
Trying to follow number 63, Jim Kardash, through the hole. The linebacker hit Kardash good enough to stand him up and cause Fenerty to hesitate. And when you hesitate running the football, you lose your momentum. You don't get as many yards.
Well, Fenerty is certainly well below his average for the first two games of the season. 124 yards against Hamilton, 95 yards against the Ottawa Rough Riders. Stuman coming from the right side. Everybody else was coming up the middle. They picked up Stuman, but they couldn't stop Brett Williams and middle linebacker Danny Bass.
You're exactly right, Don. Stuman came hard to the outside, which he's been doing all night. They stepped out there to get him, and watch Danny Bass come wide open. Right through the hole. Number 30 is going to show up. Then he jumps on the quarterback, and then it's like a field day. They all get a shot at him. Brett Williams is there, Stuman is there, and Bass is there. That's a meeting 7 yards deep.
Aloss takes the ball back to the 20-yard line with 7:11 remaining, and it's a third down kick by Hank Olisic from the 5-yard line. He needs a big one here. Hunter takes it at the 53-yard line. Hunter gets away and then is stopped at the 41. A saving tackle by Warren Hudson. It appeared as though Hunter was surrounded at the 51 of the Toronto Argos, and then he managed to escape.
Talk about quickness. We saw a great example of Hunter right there from Boise State. He must have juked 3 or 4 guys without moving. He just kept jumping back and forth and almost broke it. Watch him. Takes the step. All right, here he goes. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Bounces off them, gets outside. I think he ran out of gas.
Well, like his Toronto counterpart, extremely quick feet.
5'8", 160 pounds.
Kolka's after Ham. Ham gets away. Now it's Harding in pursuit. And Harding runs him down.
Tracy Ham hesitated out there when he looked downfield like he was going to throw it, and that little hesitation allowed Rodney Harding to run him down from the back. Kolka chases him, steps him inside, but look at 77. Now right here, he's going to hesitate. When he hesitates like that, too late. Can't get the Jets going fast enough, and Harding's there.
A loss of 1 at 2nd and 11 from the 42. 5:55 remaining in the game. The Argos in front by 3. Ham stumbles as he tries to go back to set up, and he will be dropped for a loss. I'd be in the area of what is some bad turf here at the Sky Dome.
Well, there are some bad spots down there. Very bumpy. Let's take a look at him coming out. Backing up okay. Tripped. He tripped. He either tripped on number 57, the guard, Bercheval. He stepped on it. Or Rod Conn up the center. Right there, he got a foot caught on number 67, and down he went. But you're right where they're at now, there is some bad turf, some wavy spots.
Corrick's kick hangs high. Clemens trying to take it on the run on the sidelines. He is out of room.
You got him in the hole. Let's go.
This is Foster's CFL on CBC.
Thursday, August 3rd, head coach Joe Faragelli takes his Edmonton Eskimos back home to Commonwealth Stadium to face another of the league's senior coaches, Bob Obilovich and his Toronto Argos, in the completion of our CFL on CBC doubleheader. The Eskimos and Argos, Thursday, August 3rd at 9:30 Eastern.
On the basis of what we've seen tonight at the Sky Dome, we're looking forward to that contest, the rematch, a week tonight at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, and we hope you'll be joining us for CFL action on CBC television. Pierre Bercheval, the injured Edmonton Eskimo lineman, and it appeared like Blake Dermott, he was suffering from a cramp in the leg. And does that mean that John Mandarich has now gone into the ball game? I think so. Well, he's in there defensively anyway.
Bercheval, 275-pounder from Western Ontario. Going to be a good offensive lineman. It's nice to see him get a chance to play a little bit tonight. I know he'd have liked it to have been a little cooler, though.
Jeff Boyd, did he make the catch or did it bounce? One official is ruling no catch. The other was unsure. It goes as no catch.
The guy on the side, the referee on the side, had the better look at it because the ball was underthrown and Boyd had to slide to catch the football and reach back. Watch, it's underthrown. Let's see if it's behind him. He has to slide a little bit to make this catch. It hits the ground and then into his arms. Good catch. Greg Stuman, he's been a busy man tonight. They got two of them on him this time. We said Hudson and Schultz would take turns. That time they double teamed him.
Three receivers wide to the right. Screen pass to Ryan Hansen. He got to the 30-yard line and then is hauled down by Brett Williams.
When you have those outside rushers going as hard as Edmonton do, Greg Stuman's on the rush. Off comes Brett Williams to play that little flare pass, and he made a good play running down a running back this late in the game. They got to be tired. Takes a lot out of you coming west to east to the humidity.
Well, it hasn't taken too much out of Tony Hunter.
No.
He has excelled, particularly in this second half, on those punt returns. He'll get another opportunity on this driving kick by Elisic. Bruce Elliott makes sure at the 43. 4:13 remains in the game. 20-17. The Argos lead the Eskimos.
Elliott makes the snap on third down. He got down the field in a hurry on a line drive kick by Elisic. Elliott just grabbed him like he was bulldogging in a rodeo, picked him up and threw him down.
Of course, the crowd reacts as the game is replayed on the Jumbotron.
There he is. Gets a hold of him. Get your feet planted and throw him down. Larry Ruck got a little bit upset about it, but nothing wrong with it.
First and 10 from the 43. Taylor trying to get to the outside, forced to reverse his field by Glenn Kolka. Hit by Rodney Harding, and then just about everybody else in the Toronto Argonaut defense had a shot at him.
He took a lot of hits, didn't he? He bounced around. They should call him pinball after that one. He went to his left. Watch him. He looks like he's going to be tackled by Kolka. Now he steps right back inside of Kolka and makes a miss. But here comes the interesting part. Now he doesn't know where to go. Steps in. Barry hits him and turns him. And Harding turns him. Visco gets in there. Now they all get a shot at him.
A lot of work for a 2-yard gain. 2nd and 8. There's the pass. Knocked away by Barry. Intended for Richard. There's a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage. Holding against the Eskimos will be declined. Hallman was coming almost untouched and really decked Tracy Ham just as he released the football.
Caused him to throw the ball a little bit high, but Barry made a good defensive play on it. Get that chance to play. You know, when a guy gets hurt.
Holding. Edmonton number 55. Decline. Third down.
You know, when a guy gets hurt.
Having problems with Bayless.
Sorry, Don. You get your chance to play. You don't want to mess it up. Barry has played very, very well. But there again, we see Bayless is too quick. We said this before. 55's got a pretty good lock on him. In fact, that's 2 points for a takedown.
3:07 remains in the game. Salazar was going after the block and came very close to getting it. The ball bounces out of bounds.
Well, we're getting down to that 3-minute warning.
We have it now. And we'll return for the final 3 after this. In terms of service, the 2 head coaches are real veterans in the Canadian Football League. Joe Farragelli began his career in the CFL with Winnipeg as an assistant coach in 1967. And Bob Obilovich started with the Ottawa Rough Riders in 1963 as a player, as a defensive back and a quarterback.
When he came to Ottawa, I went to Saskatchewan.
And as things turned out, that was a rather good move for the Lancaster clan.
You betcha. I like it.
Gil Fennerty. His best run of the night. That 28-yard run will improve Gil Fennerty's average.
Watch number 54, Blaine Schmidt, comes from that right guard and traps, and then Chris Schultz with his size just walls it off, and then all Fennerty has to do is run. We said before, he hasn't been able to just get in there and go, and he's been able to do that tonight on that particular play, a big game.
It's Fennerty again, taking the ball inside the 45-yard line with 2:27 remaining in the game.
That's the key right now. Run the football, control it. If they can put 3 points up there even, that forces Edmonton to score a touchdown to win the game. But a good job again up front. Brunster, and in the right guard this time, Kardish coming up through the hole.
70 yards in total now for Fennerty. It's 2nd and 6 for the Argos. The ball is at the 44 of the Edmonton Eskimos. Wide open is Morris.
The Eskimo defense went to a 3-deep zone, and Morris found the spot right between number 19 Erdman and number 5 Blair. Look, he's right in the middle. There they come, but they're too late. That's splitting the zone. That's a seam, the hardest place to cover.
1:51 now remaining. The second catch of the night for Morris, but what a big one it is. Hansen right up the middle for about 3 more, taking the clock to 1:42.
Send Fennerty out of there in motion, get him outside, make them think they're going to throw the football, and then give it to the other back, in this case Hansen, straight up the middle. You got to run both backs, or teams will key on it and say, well, if Fennerty's not there, they're not going to run. They broke it right there. All you have to do is break that trend once.
We remind you to stay tuned after the game for the Foster's MVP. 1:35 and the clock running. The Argos facing 2nd and 7. Ball at the 13 of the Eskimos. And Jemmy looking to the sidelines for Tolbert. He was covered by Jackson. And off the bench comes Lance Chomick with 1:21 remaining in the game.
Well, Jeff Boyd ran a nice pattern, went down into the post and broke back to the outside, and he was open. In fact, I thought Conchemi was throwing to him. Boyd was a little bit disappointed, but he was there. They'll take the 3.
Chomik in the first 2 games of the season against Hamilton and Ottawa was good on only 2 of 5 field goal attempts. But that's history now as far as the Argo place kicker is concerned. This one could put the Argos into control if he is successful. It's wide, but it still gives Toronto a 4-point advantage, meaning that the Eskimos have to score a touchdown.
Well, I'll tell you, you're right. It does do that, but boy, you'd think from that distance it should be automatic. You know, I've been talking all along to move the goalpost to the end of the end zone line and put the punt back in football, and he missed it from like 13 yards. You don't miss from there.
Lance Chomik has really struggled this year, and Bob Levilovich can't figure out what the problem is with his place kicker, because last year he was one of the most reliable in the league.
Very consistent last year. He had a heck of a string going at one time. I don't remember what it was, but he was kicking them through just automatic.
Well, the Eskimos have 1:16 remaining in which to put the ball in the end zone. Ham flips it over the middle to Reggie Taylor. He's got a first down out to the 47-yard line. 1:10 is left on the clock.
Doesn't have time to dilly-dally around. He can't use the huddle. He's got to go to the hurry-up offense. Just a straight back, send him deep, and drop it off underneath. Now they go to their hurry-up offense. Taylor gets tackled. They're right back on the line of scrimmage. They got to hustle.
Intercepted by Bruce Holmes.
Bruce Holmes in the opening as a defensive key. You know, the newcomer playing in there, that middle linebacker position. You know, he's had an interception and a sack. He's their leading tackler, but he won't make a bigger play than that one. He reached up there and grabbed it. I didn't know what he was doing here when he was running with the ball, whether he wanted to lateral it or what. But he stepped right in front of Craig Ellis. Now he should just fall down, look for someplace. I thought he was going to lateral the ball a couple times. His men don't know whether to block or tackle. He keeps running backwards any further, they're going to tackle him. He ran some time off the clock.
An interception and a loss of 17 on the play. Gil Fenerty trying to take more time off the clock, and there's a penalty flag. 49 seconds remaining. Well, those 5 turnovers have certainly told much of the story in tonight's ball game. 5 interceptions by the Argos. One of the key interceptions was a theft by Rodney Harding with just 5 seconds remaining in the half that resulted in a touchdown.
Well, both these teams are pretty equal, you know, and when equal teams play...
Holding, Toronto, first down repeated.
When equal teams play, the team with the fewest mistakes usually win. And Edmonton turned it over too many times, and in particular, that touchdown that you mentioned.
.49 seconds remaining. Penalty declined. The Eskimos decline the penalty. It will be 2nd and 7. The ball is at the Toronto 51.
Understand why they declined that, do you? Lost it down, I guess, but I thought maybe they would try to keep that clock from starting till the snap, and they didn't. They're down to 30 seconds.
Gil Fenerty stopped right at the line of scrimmage with 27 seconds remaining. Williams and Bass making the tackle. Joe Farragelli indicating that he wants a timeout called with 27 seconds remaining.
You want to try a throwback first before we go victory?
Something, you know. Something. That's like they're going to be 4 victory.
Now perhaps, Ron, you could explain the terminology. Gary Jurchev talking to Joe Farragelli, asking if they should go throwback first before victory.
Well, the victory, I think, is you just throw it down the field. The throwback, I think you're going to sprint one way and throw back the other is normal, unless they're talking about this punt, but I doubt that. I think they'll allow Hunter to try to run with the football. He's come close to breaking a couple. We'll watch the blocking on first down. We'll see it in a hurry.
Reddick and Hunter are both back.
Hit.
Hunter will field it at the 5. seconds is the time remaining. The Eskimos will be at their own 13-yard line. Peter Buchanan made the tackle.
But you only got 15 seconds.
Help me get out of
So you're
bounds.
going to have to
That's
throw.
what I say. I got to get out of bounds.
Cody! Cody!
21-17, the Argos lead. Seconds is the time left to play.
Now let's see what they're going to do with it. I heard him talking about you got to get out of bounds with 15 seconds. You don't have much time. He's going to sprint. No, he isn't.
Sideline to Richards. He makes the catch and stays in bounds with 7 seconds left.
Well, now all you can do is throw it down the field. You need the touchdown. I think on this play, the guy that's the most dangerous on this play is the trailer. You send those guys down, and then it's a jump ball. Tip that thing up in the air and hope that that trailer can be in a position to grab it and run for a touchdown. The 4 receivers to the left side.
Deep down the sidelines, Reggie Pleasant is back there. He makes his 3rd interception of the night. That's the 6th of the game, and that wins it for the Argos. So the Edmonton futility in Toronto, which has existed since 1981, continues. And Bob Obilovich and his Argos move into a first-place tie in the Eastern Division with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, all 3 teams with 4 points.
Obilovich has got to be pleased. He said yesterday at the press conference that they would be ready to play the Eskimos, and indeed they were. Their defensive line in particular, I thought, did a great job. Offensively, they did enough to get by.
And they'll play again 1 week from tonight at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. And we'll have that game for you on CBC television. Became a defensive battle. It's not surprising that we selected a defensive player as our Foster's MVP. And our selection tonight was Gerald Bayless, number 99, who made a number of tackles and was a constant thorn in the side of the Edmonton Eskimo offensive lineman throughout the course of the ball game. Gerald Bayless, our Foster's MVP. A very entertaining football game, Ron.
2 distinct football games. A little slow, a little sluggish in the first half. The second half, things got in gear. I think the kick returners livened it up.
Mike Clemens did an outstanding job for the Toronto Argonauts, and then in the second half, Tony Hunter responded for the Eskimos. I'm looking forward to that game next Thursday night at Commonwealth Stadium.
That'll be a good one because now the Eskimos suffered the loss here. They usually win at Commonwealth. We'll see if it holds true.
Well, the Toronto Argos proved tonight that Edmonton defense is not unstoppable.
That's right. As you said earlier, they may be intimidating, but not unstoppable.
So the Toronto Argonauts come up with a 4-point win to move into a 3-way tie for first place in the East. Scott?
Well, Don, that's the question we posed at the start of the telecast. Is the Eskimo defense unstoppable? The answer from the Argo offense would appear to be yes, this Eskimo defense is tough, but it's not unstoppable, and the Argos would point to the final score at the Sky Dome tonight to support that contention. It shows them victorious and continues the negative streak that has seen the Eskimos lose consistently in Toronto since 1981. Our next telecast in the CFL on CBC 1 week tonight. We're in Edmonton for the completion of this 2-game home-and-home series. Start time of the telecast 9:30 Eastern. Be with Sports Weekend on Saturday for these events beginning at 3 o'clock Eastern. We bid you good night from the Sky Dome. The head of CBC TV Network Sports is Arthur Smith. The senior producer of the CFL on CBC is Lee Herberman. Tonight's game from the Sky Dome produced by Steve Lansky. Our director tonight, Ron Harrison. And our isolation director, Mo Waters. And our thanks to the rest of the CBC personnel who helped make this telecast possible. Once again, good night from Toronto.